Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to the Friday night edition of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got a special show tonight from Texas Space. Juan Feria and Jack Sarfati are here. We're going to talk UFOs, the technology behind it. Can we time travel as we speak? We're going to find all about it here momentarily, but first we're going to say hello to each and every one of you in our chat room so far. We got Race Fan in the gold medal position, Kitty Caddywhack with a silver, Adam B with a bronze medal tonight, Robert Lamoth, Frankie B, and Road Flare. Thank you all for coming on in. Trucker Andrew is here. Trucker Andrew will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Ethanol, Keith McCormick, Jennifer Beveridge, how you doing? Hi there, Gory Tiger and Necessary Dialogue. Nice to have you here. Xanos, Deanna Ann, Walter Kochabinski, and Thomas Rock. Thank you all for coming on in. Kurt M, JSCO, and Major League, good morning to you. Hi there, Cosmic Joe. Gamer Quest is here early. Gamer Quest will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Hippie Deidre, how's Vancouver Island? Thank you for coming on in. Rock and Rory, good to see you. Mel WD40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to talk about time travel and space and UFOs lubed up. So Mel WD40 lubing us up. That's a good start. Jay Truthseeker, how you doing? Cosmic Joe, thank you for kicking off the super chat tonight. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you very, very much. Susan Lawrence, how you doing? Number 2 in your program, starting on defense from Stockholm, Sweden. Lars Janssen, Christine Lynn, and What in Tarnation? How are you? Good to see you again. Frost Kitten, how are you? And Search and Destroy, Jerry Carter in the studio. Good to have you all here. SJ, thanks for coming on in. Stargazer, Digger Dog, $7 Million Man. How you doing? Thank you for joining us. Hi, Christine Lynn, Superknower, and who's next on our list? Jeremy Jones. Thank you for joining us. Karen in the Woo Train, nice to see you here. Hillbilly Herb, thank you for joining us tonight. As we continue on with our roll call, there's Brian S. from Venice Beach, California. Yeah, him and Hulk Hogan posed down at the workout place there. Dave Tiger Williams, he'll drop the gloves for you. Good to see you. We got to wait for everybody to come over from Element 115. Yeah, everybody's a little bit slow there. I can't wait for this conversation. You have no idea how long I have wanted to interview Jack Sarfati. Yeah, this is going to be incredible. And Juan Feria put it all together, courtesy of Nicole Sakic. So this is going to be a fantastic, fantastic show tonight. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. You guys should too, because this is going to be filled with information. I already know that my head is going to explode tonight with these two on the show. And hopefully this is the first of many times we get to talk to these gentlemen on Spaced Out Radio. This is going to be a fantastic show indeed, as we are about a minute away from launching tonight's show. Yeah. And by the way, this is going to be one of those shows where we say hello and welcome to all the the alphabet agencies and agents listening on in, thank you for joining us. Make sure you hit subscribe, ring that bell, and give us a call sometime because, you already have the phone number. Just use it. Call and say hello. All right. Sierra, how are you? Thanks for joining us. Millennium, my man. Good to see you. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott, and we are going to be talking everything about space, time travel, UFOs. Juan Feria and Jack Sarfati from Texas Space are here tonight. It is going to be an incredible show coming up here momentarily. We are in roll call right now on our YouTube side, so we say hello to Fapster. How you doing? Matthew Gutka. Thank you for coming on in as the chat room continues to fill up. Want to remind everybody the super chat is open. You can, just do your thing. Do your thing there. That's all I ask. And, of course, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store on our website. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out in public and actually be proud of it. And throw those horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of FSR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our site as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show coming up ahead for you tonight. Juan Feria and Jack Sarfati from Texas Space will be with us momentarily. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off with a creepy story. Follow that up by Lee Strauss. The extra small Lee Strauss will be with us with the Cryptid Report. All right, we're going to get right to it here because there's a new company coming online here that is going to be very, very important to the future of technology when it comes to even finding out what is with UFOs, time travel, and the physics and science behind it. Juan Feria is a Marine veteran, political candidate from Texas, born in 1985. He literally looks like he was born in 95, though. It's ridiculous how young he looks. Feria is the CEO of Texas Space LLC, a company dedicated to advancing quantum physics and post-quantum mechanics. He has been actively involved in discussions about unidentified aerial phenomena as well, participating in congressional hearings and public dialogues to advocate for greater transparency and understanding of the phenomena. Also joining him tonight is one of the most known scientists in the UFO UAP /world. It is Jack Sarfati. This man has talked with big wigs all over the world regarding the subject of physics, quantum mechanics, and everything that would lead to topics that we love to discuss. Time travel, UFOs, reverse engineering, anti-gravitics, and much more. We're going to get into this entire subject because why not? It's going to be fun. Let's bring them on. Juan Feria, Jack Sarfati, both of you, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for having us, Dave. Appreciate it.
Can you hear me, by the way?
Oh, you sound perfect. You sound perfect. Juan, I'm not going to cut you off right off the bat, but I do want to say it has been a long, long time since we have hoped to have Jack Sarfati, a legend, on this show. And there he is up close and personal. And I can tell you this, I feel like a kid on Christmas Day right now.
Excellent. No need. I'm here to support and facilitate and maybe share a little bit of what's going on behind the scenes in politics of the UAP world that maybe not everybody gets some insight into. You see a lot of the stuff on the internet, and Jack could probably share a lot of what's going on in most recent times, and I'm pretty sure he has a lot to say. So feel free to just lead the way, and we're on tow. We're in tow.
Well, Jack, let's start off with you here, because you've been a legend around these parts, a name that has been studying this phenomena for decades. And, there are people who absolutely live off of every word you say. You have your critics as well, but you are steadfast in your beliefs and your scientific theories of what's going on. Yes. What first attracted you to the subject of UFOs, first and foremost?
Well, I think it was Colonel Phil Corso when I was about 10 years old, and I'm pretty sure I met him back then because my grandfather worked for the U.S. Army, and I used to hang out at the Army Quartermaster Corps in Manhattan, Garment District around 14th Street, John Watermaker Building area, and I used to go there after school or sometimes when school was out. And even though I was about 9, 10 years old, I was allowed to play there. It's like a playground. And I had access to the entire, there are different floors. One floor was tropical clothing, tropical uniforms. Another one was cold weather, like for the Arctic and various things. And I was able to try on the uniforms and do everything. And there was this officer who used to come and talk to me, and he encouraged my interest in science and rockets and stuff like that. And he also told me about flying saucers. This is like 1950, 3 years after Roswell. And when back in the 90s, when Phil Corso's book, The Day After Roswell, came out, I opened it up and saw a photograph of Corso. I had like a moment of recognition. Of course, he would have been a lot younger back then. So I think it was Phil Corso. I can't be 100% sure. It was like, let's see, it was like 75 years ago. So there we are. So I suppose that's when my interest in flying saucers started. Also, I was reading all the pulp science fiction at that time. Isaac Asimov and L. Ron Hubbard was, the guy who made Scientology. I think this was before he did Scientology. He was a science fiction writer. Theodore Sturgeon. They had the pulp 25-cent magazines. Amazing science fiction, astounding. So I used to read all that all the time, of course.
For you, Juan, and thank you for that, Jack. Yeah. For you, Juan, I mean, you're relatively new to this subject. You're somebody who's taken a very keen interest and built a lot of major connections regarding the UFO phenomena and the technology behind it. As a scientist, I can see where you're kind of geeking out on that, because we all do. But on a personal level, why is this topic important to you?
Well, I'll tell you what. I attended the David Grush hearings in July of 2023, which are available online on C-SPAN. They're recorded on there. So if anybody that hasn't listened to those, I encourage you to go listen to those, because you're going to be blown away by the things that are said under oath in front of Congress. And I was fascinated when I attended those hearings. And I'll start with a little bit of a context there. I was not interested in UFOs. I have a day job in the tech industry, and quantum physics was nowhere near my peripheral. I was a fan, but an experience led me to the hearings, and I'm good friends with Congressman Pete Sessions. I did run for Congress in Texas in March of this last year, but I was involved in the politics world and the Republican Party stuff, and I know there's, I don't want to get into politics here, but that's what led me to the hearings. Pete Sessions got me and my wife into the hearings. And just witnessing that kind of stewarded and a series of events, which I would now term synchronicities. I'm learning. And Jack and I met by chance. My wife and I were out in Florence, traveling all of Italy, and we happened to be in the same city at the same time and met for coffee. And so there we go. I think Jack catapulted me into this world because I'm still trying to search for answers on certain things here. But that's how I got involved in this whole thing. And interestingly enough, after those hearings, which is the only bipartisan thing that Congress agreed on at the time, and even now, both left and right side of the fence, the UFO topic was the only thing they agreed upon. And it was so fascinating to me because nothing else could get passed through Congress when President Biden was in charge. I was the first person to meet and shake David Grush's hand in the back alleys when he was walking along with all his posse, I would like to call him, right? And I took a picture, and I think I shared that with you, but I can share that with you guys at a later time if you'd like to. But that started this whole series of events, and a lot of different things started happening with relationships with different people that you see on TV now that work for the Pentagon, and had meetings with them through Texas Space. And I just have to say this up front: Texas Space was Jack's idea, right? After we met, we built a good relationship. He came up with the name, and suddenly we have a bunch of physicists gravitating towards us. But I'll leave it at that, and then we can continue on the conversation a little later once he builds a little more context to the situation here.
Oh, I think that's a wonderful start so far in breaking it down. For you, Jack, as you've studied this subject, what interests you now? Or let me rephrase that. How has your interest changed in the science of UFOs and the technology behind it? Has it always been just strictly about the tech, the craft, the anti-gravitics, how they got here, where are they from, or is it more than that?
Well, it's that and more, and it's not only where they are from; it's when they are from. They're from the future. Some of them are from the future, because I was contacted as a child. You know the story. When I was 13, I was contacted by what claimed to be a conscious AI computer on board a spacecraft from the future. And this was 1953. And it correctly predicted that I'd begin to meet the others, the other kids, in 20 years, which is when I was at Stanford Research Institute under very strange circumstances. And I met for the first time Harold Puthoff and Russell Targ, astronaut Edgar Mitchell. And that meeting, and by the way, the meeting was arranged by Jacques Vallée back in 1973, although he wasn't there. He was supposed to be there. For some reason, he didn't show up, but I was told that he had arranged the meeting, Jacques Vallée, who's still around. And and you can hear that meeting. It was a CIA operation, and part of that meeting was recorded. And if you go to SoundCloud right now, you can hear about an hour of the meeting, and you'll hear Russell Targ saying that they think that the flying saucers are time machines back from the future. And I also tell the story of my 1953 contact. So there we go. Any more questions?
What was the message that was given to you?
The basic message that was given to me was that I was their creator. I was going to create them. But because of the information they were downloading to me, I would be their creator. I and other people, there's a bunch of us, but I was the main creator. Did you see Star Trek 4, where they go back in time to North Beach, to San Francisco, to save the whales or the dolphins? That's kind of the scenario. And as a matter of fact, Paramount Pictures asked me and physicists Nick Herbert and Fred Allen Wolf, who were part of the old Physics Consciousness Research Group, and How the Hippies Say Physics by David Kaiser. They have the three of us lecturing on time travel in the director's cut, the CD of Star Trek 4, Paramount Pictures. So the crazy rocket scientist in Star Trek 4, who makes the first warp drive, is really based on me, Jack Sarfati, and to some extent Fred Wolf and Nick Herbert, I guess. So there we go. And also, I'm also the model for Emmett Brown in Back from the Future, because I was hanging out with Francis Ford Coppola and all the guys around him, including Spielberg and the producers of Back from the Future. We'd go to all the same parties, hang out in the cafes. And in fact, at one of these parties for Uri Geller, around 1976, I invited Jacques Vallée to the party, and that's how Jacques connected with Spielberg and became the technical advisor for Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So, and of course, all these movies by Spielberg and other people in Hollywood back then, they were all conditioned, kind of manipulated by the Central Intelligence Agency, because it's part of a soft disclosure mechanism over the years to get people ready for the fact that we're not alone, and there are all kinds of aliens and time travelers that are here on Earth. Okay.
I'm blown away already.
Well,
like,
yeah.
It's only like 16 minutes into this interview, and I'm sitting here thinking, I'm in heaven right now. I'm in heaven.
Yeah.
This is radio broadcast heaven.
Yeah, well, it's called ontological shock. And I was just at the Soul 2024, the Gary Nolan thing, and the big subject there was ontological shock. It's the problem that when Orson Welles in 1938 or so did the H.G. Wells invasion from Mars, and a lot of people got freaked out by it. So they're worried about panic, mass panic occurring. But now, after 50 years of all these science fiction movies, it's kind of blasé, passé. There's nothing much to worry about anymore. We're here. They're here. the NHI, non-human intelligence, is here, and we have to sort of get used to it. And the reason they're here now is because they're trying to prevent nuclear war. We're on the brink of it. We were, until Trump got in, we were on the brink of nuclear war. Now things are kind of settling down, hopefully. And then there is also who's the guy who wrote the Hastings, is Robert Hastings, about how the Tic Tacs and the whatever you want to call them, the UFOs, the flying saucers, how they're neutralizing nuclear weapons. And I know how to do that. In principle, we understand the physics, how that works. It's gravity beams. So there we go. Any more? I'll wait for you to ask me a question.
Juan, I want to get you in here. How do you recruit somebody like Jack Sarfati for Texas Space? I know it's his idea, the name is his idea and everything, but how does this even begin, this relationship?
Look, I think when we first met, it just clicked, right? And things just fell into place with so minimal effort that it was just meant to be. Is my personal view of this. Now, stepping outside, look, a lot of strange things happen when you hang around Jack Sarfati, believe it or not. Weird, strange things begin to happen in your life. He's involved with everyone. He knows everyone in the industry. Jack, you have an excellent memory. You kind of tailored a lot of the back end. You've helped people understand how this thing operates. So, you kind of give a physics meaning to the woo, which is one of the conversations we had earlier here. But he makes it sound not simple, but explains it logically via a physics component. Because everything that we're experiencing, whether it's a UAP, UFO, whatever it may be, look, think of religion, for example. My take on religion is when you hear the word prophecy, is information from the future coming back to the past, right, to the present. Right. And the way Jack explains it is it's physics. It's time travel.
It's all physics. Yeah. It's all quantum mechanics.
But I think Jack, now I'm a believer in him, right? And in all of the stuff that he discusses, because I've seen it firsthand over the last couple of years, since we met in Florence. And what I've seen firsthand has been all of the people in the industry. And look, I'm going to say some names here and nothing to do with anything, but the Louis Vissondos of the world, the people you see like the Carl Nels and all these people know who he is. And I've heard all of them say that they respect his physics. And so he's a credible person. And when we had discussions, we really somehow, I don't even know how the conversation started, but it just automatically just stewarded us into building a company. And at first it was Jack, myself, and maybe one other person. And then suddenly all of these physicists just coming out of the woodworks, gravitating towards the cause. And mind you, these guys, they're no UFO people. They don't even believe in it now, right? They don't believe in UFOs or anything. They just stick to the physics. You mentioned the word gravity beam earlier. Well, some of our physicists are working on initiating patents for gravitational beams. Some of the physicists are initiating some patents for generating gravitational waves via a transduction method of electromagnetism into a gravitational wave. Will it work? Not 100% sure, but to Jack, I'm going to quote Jack here. The math and the physics look so pretty, it has to work. And then Jack, feel free to chime in on all this stuff, but it just clicked. And call it an invisible hand. There's something messy. So I think of this whole thing now from if I could ascribe something to it, look, how does this all operate? I think of the movie The Adjustment Bureau with Matt Damon, right? Where you have a group of like this council of people that have godlike powers. And think of it, if you are able to master time travel as a species, you technically become a god. If you manipulate with what Jack's proposing is physics, if you're able to solve for that, you are able to go back in time, tweak things the way you want at any point in time for any event and change. You just build your own world, basically, your own destiny. So, but that's way out of my league here, because the physics part is, Jack and all these other guys are the experts. I'm just trying to help here with putting people together, make sure everyone's focusing on the right thing so we get, success.
We have 2 minutes to go before we have to go to break. At the bottom of the hour, Juan Feria and Jack Sarfati are our guests tonight on Spaced Out Radio. So many questions to ask, so many stories to tell. I think we need to do just book a week straight of you guys. I'm just going to be blunt here. If you could ever find time for me, that would be wonderful. But, Jack, for you, as we draw closer to the break, you've always enjoyed this topic, even though it's become heated, it's become political, it's become, a sense of entitlement with many people in the scientific community. How have you been able to kind of, keep your path steady?
With some difficulty. I'm a fighter. I'm from New York. I'm sort of like Donald Trump in that way, in that people are attacking all the time, but I just get up like Raging Bull, and keep going as much as I can. Well, we're New Yorkers, from New York in the 1940s and 1950s. So I think that's part of it.
But do you think, though, I guess to reverse that question, you've seen a big change in this game going from pseudoscience to mainstream and more scientists trying to get involved with this. Is that healthy?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's healthy, yes. But there's a whole group of people connected with the intelligence community which is putting obstacles in our way. And I don't know exactly why they're doing that. Because unless they're working for the Russians, they might be working for the Russians, because the Russians are working on my approach to all this. And I was invited to Moscow back in 2023. Didn't go because of the war, but but the Russians. I was told that Vladimir Putin himself is very interested in this subject and is aware of my work. That's what I was told by the Russians who interviewed me.
All right, I'm going to get you to hold on right there.
Yeah.
We have Juan Feria. We have Jack Sarfati here on Spaced Out Radio, Texas Space. Where are they coming from? Are they time travelers? And how can we prove it or not? Lots more right ahead in the second half hour coming up right after this. All right, we are clear. That was a fun first half hour.
Yeah, you want to take some questions from your audience? I might. Do you have to, if you,
We're gonna try in hour number 2.
Okay.
Normally, that's when I take questions. Is in hour 2.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
I have to be very careful here what I say, because I don't want to say anything that I'm not supposed to say, or cause some problems. But this is excellent. I love the crowd. I love the chat that everyone on the YouTube, I think it is, out here are talking.
What can you see? Oh, is there a chat? Can we see the chat?
If you go right in the right-hand corner of your screen, Jack, you'll see comments and private chat. You want to click on comments, so that way you can see what the audience is saying.
Oh, I don't see how to do that. It doesn't seem to. On the upper right.
Yeah, there should be something about.
If you're in your browser, Jack, you can see it on the right hand side.
I see. No, sound. No, but on my thing is sound below. Sound below. Okay.
Just click on the live chat.
Yeah. Where the hell is the live chat?
Dave, you should ask him. And I know the audience is listening to his story of what happened to him when he was young, and it started his whole thing.
Well, I did. We did that. We did that already.
No, but tell the story. When your mom and told you that multiple calls versus one call, etc.
Oh yeah. Okay. Let's see.
That's a fascinating story.
Why isn't this? Although I'd rather sort of talk about the physics part of it, so people understand what's going on. Wait, I'm trying to see now how to get back with everything. What am I doing? Yeah. I don't know. No, I don't. Are we on yet? Comments. Oh, comments. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Now I got it. Okay, let's see what are they saying.
There's a few. There's a live chat and there's a start comment.
Yeah, live. Yeah, I see it. I got it. I see it now. Okay. So let's see. Secret space program. I don't know. Okay. All right. How do we get back? Okay.
We see you.
Okay. Wait a minute. So, I want to get back to you guys. Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay.
There you go.
All right.
How you doing, Jack?
Okay. I've been doing a lot of physics, man. With this.
I know. I've been watching all the emails go back and forth, and I just can't keep up. You're going off with Jose and the guys.
Yeah, it's just like 1953 on steroids, right now.
I know. A lot of progress has been made in the last year and a half already.
Yeah, I mean, with this Grok AI is going to accelerate, progress.
Your productivity too, I think. Yeah.
Super exponentially. It's like I have an IQ of 1,000.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, I'm paying attention. So Dave, we have a bunch. So I'm watching maybe a dozen emails going back and forth in just physics equations with multiple people, multiple world-leading physicists in the gravitational field from MIT. Where is Christoph from? Poland?
No, he's from Germany, but he's living in Poland. I mean, he was a German PhD from, I forget which university. He told me, but maybe Hamburg. I'm not sure.
And one of our physicists.
I'll have to ask him. Didn't he send you a CV? Didn't he send you that information?
Christoph? Yeah, I have all his information. I talk to him daily, so we're good. So all of these physicists are trying to help us out on their own, Dave. And then, I mean, we keep getting more and more every month or so, trying to offer their help.
Yeah, well, we're trying to get. We have to get some real money to do it, and hopefully, maybe Peter Thiel through Jesse Michaels is one possibility. There are other possibilities that we can't talk about, but.
And here, I just want to get back on the Jack's email train. I was there for a while, and then all of a sudden, I'm not
send me. Yeah, what is your email?
Dave@spacedoutradio.com.
Okay, well, just send me an email, because things I forget. You just have to send me. It's not intentional. It was not intentional.
Oh, I know. I'm just teasing. I'm
Yeah.
just
So
teasing.
just if you know, just send me an email to remind me.
There's two emails from Jack. You have the serious physics emails, and then you have the troll Jack. I like to call him the internet troll Jack. Who likes to
I was
troll
on.
people.
That's the one I was on.
That's right.
Yeah. I was like, and I don't even know how I got added to it, but all of a sudden I started getting emails from you. I'm like, this is awesome. This is completely awesome.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, we're in about 10 seconds here.
Right.
I just want to say a big thank you to Joe and Random Gee and JSCO for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. We're talking time travel coming up here with Jack Sarfati and Juan Feria of Texas Space. This is going to be so much fun. This is fantastic. Stay tuned. But first, want to remind everybody that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our archives for free on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. From Texas Space, Juan Feria, Jack Sarfati are here. Now, Jack, you said something quite interesting early on in the show that you believe that a lot of these UFOs and what we're seeing are time travelers. And Juan, you and I had a conversation about that before the show. I want to get into this. How do we know they are time travelers?
Well, I know from my own experience, but you know, the fact that I was contacted by one of these UFO time travelers, and they correctly said what was going to happen 20 years in the future, which happened. So I know that. But I also know that the physics, the basic physics that I do, it was Einstein's general relativity. It implies the time travel is part of modern physics. It's part of general relativity. The problem has been that everybody thought it took too much energy to practically implement time travel technology, but they're mistaken. We can actually do it with very small amounts of energy, and that's what we see. These things flying around, they are time machines. And by the way, I'm not the only one saying this. Apparently, it's pretty much a consensus inside the intelligence community that it is time travel. And in fact, if you listen to the tape back in 1973, when I'm at the Stanford Research Institute at the CIA program with Hal Puthoff and Russell Todd, one of the first things Russell Todd says is that we think the flying saucers are time machines from the future. So that's over 50 years ago. So what I'm saying is not particularly controversial.
Oh, I could see where that is, where it kind of comes into play. Now, Juan, being kind of a fresh face and a fresh voice in this, it's easy to speculate, which is what theoretical physics really does on that. But how do you find that truth or that proof? Do you think the proof is out there that we could say where
no,
these?
You see, if you're to a theoretical physicist who's open to the data, by the data I mean like what Louis Elizondo's 5 observables, the instantaneous acceleration, all that stuff. That is smoking gun evidence that it's time travel. If you understand gravity physics, which, if you don't understand gravity physics, which most people don't, it seems mysterious. But to theoretical physicist who understands Einstein's theory, once you know that you can manipulate space-time with small amounts of energy, then everything falls into place. It's like elementary, my dear Watson. To a guy like me, it's elementary. To most people, it's not. So what can I say? That we understand it conceptually perfectly. Now, how we can take that conceptual understanding and turn it into technology, that's a bigger problem. I always like to make the analogy in 1940. every physicist knew that you can make an atomic bomb, but to actually take that conceptual understanding from the equations of physics and convert that into a real bomb, that required the Manhattan Project. And by the way, I was an undergraduate at Cornell University in the late 50s. My professors were the guys who built the atomic bomb. If you see the movie Oppenheimer, a lot of those guys were the guys who taught me physics. So, there we go.
And they were also leading researchers and
What?
in consciousness as well. It was one thing that we rarely speak about, but it's, I think, ties into this whole.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the consciousness part. Well, that came later. The consciousness part came, around this time when I met Hal Puthoff, because they were doing paranormal. So that's the consciousness part. And then around, it became very explicit in 1975 by a guy named George Koopman, who was an Army agent and also connected with the CIA. And he said, Jack, there are two things the CIA wants to know. One is, how does consciousness work and the paranormal, all that stuff. And the second thing was, how do flying saucers fly? And this was, literally 50 years ago. They said, Jack, we want you to work on that. Okay. So, it's, to me, what I'm trying to tell people is that we understand the phenomenon. And so whenever you hear anybody saying that, we don't understand it, it's a technology 1,000 years in the future, those guys don't know what don't trust them. Don't trust anything they say, because either they're lying and they're intentionally disinformation agents for whatever reason, or they're so incompetent they don't know what they shouldn't, they're not. They should be thrown off the stage because they don't know what they're talking about. They don't understand elementary physics. So that's it. That's my opinion. Well, it's more than my opinion.
Juan, for you, what is your theory of where these craft are coming from? Do you think it's time travel? Do you think it's outer space?
Look, I think if you're able to manipulate gravity in the way that Jack theorizes and others theorize, right? And from the data that Jack just mentioned, data that was presented at these hearings, and I'm just going to reference factual evidence here, stuff that was said under oath, multiple in 2 hearings, right? One in 2023 and one recently last November by different people. You had first-handers, and then you had, they haven't said that they're first-handers, but David Grush was a very high-ranking official in the United States government with clearances for preparing the intelligence briefings to the Oval Office. So not just everybody gets to do those kinds of things, right? I believe what they said under oath, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they mentioned some key words. They mentioned not only non-human intelligence, which means there's something out there that's made of biology of some sort, or maybe a non-corporal biology, we don't know. But there's a non-human intelligence, which is a consciousness, a being that's conscious like we are, which may be a different level of consciousness, who knows? But they also spoke about the craft, and they mentioned a key word that maybe some people may have missed. They said interdimensional, right? And that word, Jack, maybe you can explain how that operates with physics or time travel.
The interdimensional is simply, have you seen Man in the High Castle, the Philip Dick on Netflix? Where alternate timelines, many worlds theory, where there's a parallel universe next door in which Hitler wins World War II, and because the Werner Heisenberg. And by the way, I worked with Werner Heisenberg, the real Werner Heisenberg, in Munich back in the 60s. But where Werner Heisenberg gets the A-bomb before the Manhattan Project, and they nuke Washington, D.C. in this altered world. And so when it opens up, the United States most of the United States is owned by the Hitler, who's still alive, and the western half is owned by the Japanese. And it's a story. But then the timelines connect; they fuse together. So people are going back and forth between the different worlds, and that's what David Grush is alluding to. That they think that has happened. And there is also I forget now. Do you remember One is it either, I guess it was the Google quantum computer, not the Microsoft.
The chip.
Yeah, I think it was the Google computer where they're claiming that they've had contact with an alternate timeline. Now, that's controversial. I don't know, but some of the Google guys think that they got spooked out, they got freaked out, and it's this thing called the the Mandela effect. The Mandela effect, where groups of people have completely different memories than other groups of people, and we're seeing this right now. I mean, there's a lot of the politics. Some of the things that are happening, say in the Ukraine war, where some people think that like President Trump has said that there's like 1 million people killed. Other people say there's only like 100,000 people killed, and everybody is kind of convinced that they're right. And it's almost as though where there are like streams of consciousness, altered timelines, and the different parallel universes are kind of colliding with each other. So we have people from different timelines kind of talking to each other, and that's why there is all this polarization. That's one theory. Now, there was a gentleman named Fred Hoyle, who was a professor of astrophysics at Cambridge. In fact, Stephen Hawking took his position when Fred Hoyle died. Fred Hoyle wrote a science fiction book called The Black Cloud about what we're talking about, basically. The Black Cloud, all these different sort of timelines, streams of consciousness of groups of people start fusing together, and it becomes, very surreal what's going on. Similar to what we're experiencing today. So when David Grush talks about interdimensionals, I think he's referring to the Mandela effect and this kind of man in the high castle, that parallel universes are kind of coming together and then splitting apart. That's one way of looking at what's going on, and where some of these NHI, that they may be coming from parallel universes. And there's this guy Max Tegmark. He's a big professor at MIT, and this is his theory basically of parallel universes. But in the original theory, they thought that the parallel universes could not communicate with each other, but that's wrong. See, in fact, they can communicate with each other. That's called the post-quantum mechanics that I was working on for the Central Intelligence Agency when they asked me to work on all this stuff. And so the point is, so when David Grush talks about extra-dimensional, we have to take that quite seriously. Up there.
I never thought you'd be a big proponent of the Mandela effect.
There's some noise in the background. What, do you
Yeah.
Okay.
I never thought you'd be a big proponent, Jack, of the Mandela effect.
Well, I'm not a proponent of it, but it's only recently I started thinking about it, and it does make a little bit of sense. I'm 50. My mind is open to it. I'm not saying it is that, but I'm saying it might be that. That would, I'm saying that what David Grush testified to in that congressional hearing has to be taken seriously, and it might point to this many worlds thing, especially now that Google guys saying that that's what's going on. Yeah, other people say they're wrong. It's controversial, and there's also the ontological shock that people may be in denial of the evidence. Because cognitive bias and cognitive dissonance and ontological shock. So reality is a lot weirder than most people think it is, or it's actually weirder than most people are able to think about it is. So because of physics. You see, if you know the physics, it's a lot easier to understand.
And if you understand that, time is not linear, right? And if at any point in the future we are able to achieve a feat of time travel and engineer something to allow us to achieve time travel, then
we're very close. But look, we know how to basically. I know how to make a time machine. Basically, I know how to do it.
Correct, but if we were achieving it 1,000 years in the future, that means that because time is not linear, then time travel would exist in our time now, right? So technically, these future people could.
Okay, wait a minute. The time travelers have been here all along. And I'm not the only one saying this. This is, in fact, they're all saying it. Michael Masters and all that. the Greek gods are time travelers. The Garden of Eden, that's a time, the God Yahweh and the serpent, those are time travelers. What happened in the Garden of Eden is that these guys from the future came back. They took the primitive humans or apes, whatever they were. They did some genetic engineering, CRISPR technology, stuff like that, and they re-engineered the more primitive creatures back there and made them into us. That's what the Garden of Eden's all about. So everything, all these stories, these ancient stories, they all have some element of truth to them. It's pretty obvious. By the way, I'm not the only one saying. I think John Ramirez, a lot of people, it's kind of known. In fact, I was told, that you may have heard the story where somebody told President Carter, who was a simplistic Christian, and he started crying when he realized that they basically told President Carter back in the 70s what I'm telling you right now, and he kind of, he freaked him out. So this is a problem. This is a problem. So in fact, all the like the Catholic theology, the Immaculate Conception, that's no big deal these days. Women have it all the time. These lesbian couples have kids, right? I mean, that's all, it's all biology, it's all DNA, and we understand how to do it. So there are no, the Star of Bethlehem. Well, that's a classic UFO. You go look at in Florence, where the museums of Florence. You see these paintings from 500 years ago. You see the UFO flying around, flying saucers and beams coming down on these people. So they're there. You go back to primitive Aborigines back in the outback in Australia and different places, and you see pictures of aliens. You see like the Greys, and you see the flying saucers. You see everything. So they've been here all along. Our history has been manipulated by the time travelers from the future.
And this is where we come full circle with ontological shock.
Yeah. So I mean, I can debate that. I have no peers in this subject. There's no one alive today that has any better credentials in physics than I do, and I can talk to any one of them, and we could debate these things and see what happens. I mean, anybody wants to come and debate me on this, I'm here. Just let somebody arrange it. Martin Rees, Eric Weinstein, was it Neil Tyson? Was it Tyson? Whatever. Oh, I have to pull again. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think there's an argument or a debate whether time travel is real, because I mean, even astronauts that are orbiting the Earth.
Well, no, there are. You'll find most academics will deny it, but they don't really. They're not really competent. They'll deny it simply out of the conventional wisdom, because they're afraid. They're afraid to actually consider it in a serious way.
Well, I think to your point, they're denying that the ability to travel back in time.
Well, no, the main thing they're denying it. They'll deny it on the basis of physics. They'll deny it. They'll say you can't do it because you need too much energy to do it. See, they don't know what we have, or they don't have that. They're all going to go back on that. It takes too much energy. They're going to say that the coupling constant in Einstein's field equation is a fundamental constant that you cannot change it. But of course, they're denying the evidence of the UFOs. So they'll say that that's not real. They're going to say it's not real. They're going to say it's all fake. They're going to say either that David Grush and Commander Fravor are either lying or they're delusional, or there's that kind of thing. The Mick West of the skeptics.
Are you buying, either one of you buying into the fact that the whistleblowers are real, telling the truth? Because there is a lot of speculation regarding that one.
No, they're telling the truth. Every one of them is telling the truth.
Well, Jack, I think personally, from our experience, and I'm not going to give names because I don't want to insult anybody, but we've met with some of these whistleblowers. I've met some of the UAP task force. I think they're all very kind people. I think they're all have their own motivations and have good reasons to come forward, etc. And I do believe that some of these people have been threatened, right? But I think I personally question whether there's a controlled narrative based on who's getting who, leads, for example, podcast hosts, etc. I mean, David Grush on Jesse Michaels' podcast, right? I like Jesse Michaels. I think he's a nice guy. You mentioned this earlier. But where else has he been? It's difficult. I think there's a controlled narrative here, and I just don't know who's controlling the narrative.
No, okay. Let me say something. I think that there are people attempting to control the narrative, but they're not very intelligent people. In fact, they're kind of stupid people, and they're not very effective. They can't control it now. It's too late to control it. The only thing, they can go kill us, shoot everybody. They want to do that, But apart from brute force, just murdering the whistleblowers, they can't do anything because of the internet, because of stuff like this. They can't control it anymore. It's out of their control.
And mind you,
it's like the crossbow. It's like when the English had the crossbow and they're able to just shoot down the knights in their armor. Okay,
yeah. And so it's important.
They can't control information anymore. What?
Yeah, no, I was going to say, to your point, Jack, it's important to really note that, when you say that these people get murdered, this stuff has been said under oath in Congress. It's one of the main reasons people went to Congress was because they felt threatened, and they were threatened. Their lives were threatened. And then it's not just one person. If you look at the context of ufology, before it was you named it here, the credit to you, Dave, ufology. Everyone has been threatened. People die of mysterious causes, but now it's been said under oath in Congress. It's an historical record. Yeah. It's in the congressional record, so it's not a secret anymore. People, that's how they keep it secret. They just murder people, right?
Yeah. And
that's the problem we have. That's a big problem when you have no due process and you're murdering Americans because of a document that you signed.
It's gonna be a lot harder for them to do anything now because we have an administration that is basically on the right track, and it's not going to, they'll not allow that. You have all these, what is it, Luna? You have Luna and Nancy Mace, and even the Secretary of State is for this, and we're in a much better situation now since Trump took office about disclosure than we were before, I think. Even though some Democrats are for it too. I mean, Podesta and all these guys. As you said, it's bipartisan. It is bipartisan. But now we have Vance. Vance telling the English and the Germans that you're not allowing free speech. They're arresting people in England for tweets. They call them non-crime hate speech. Stuff like that. That's not right. And in Germany it's the same thing. So they're very, this repression against thought. It's like Orwell's 1984.
It is getting scary out there. Maybe we need the aliens to get here sooner rather than later in order to smarten us up a little bit.
No, but they're here. They are here. They're here. They're here now.
Oh, I know. I've been face to face. So it's quite interesting as we got about just under 2 minutes to go here before we go to break at the top of the hour. We have Juan Feria and Jack Sarfati from Texas Space. At what point do you guys look at this entire subject? And Juan, I want to hear from you on this one, as we only have about 90 seconds. When you look at this entire subject and look at it and say, this is the future, this is what the direction we need to go.
It's really focusing on the quantum physics, right? We've been focusing on other things and funding other things. Our military-industrial complex, academia can achieve this on their own. The military-industrial complex will never be able to achieve it because of compartmentalization. And the private sector, they just haven't been focused on this. There's no incentive, there's no motivation. And so right now we're bootstrapping, right? Everything is because people have a passion and are coming together to try to achieve and solve for problems that have never been solved for. Like Einstein's, theories, he called this stuff spooky action at a distance, right? The entangled electrons. And we still haven't figured out how to bridge classical mechanics with quantum mechanics. So once we figure that out, then
wait, stop. Don't say that.
Okay. Go ahead. Take over this one.
So, David Bohm, we do understand that. I don't know. I know what you'll be reading the wrong stuff. That's the in the Copenhagen. that's not true what you said. Yeah, in the Copenhagen interpretation, the old quantum mechanics, it was a problem. But in the stuff I do, it's not a problem. There's no problem there. That's a solved piece of cake.
Correct, but we still need experimentation to validate this stuff. Right?
No, that's been plenty of experiments.
I'm going to get you to hold on right there. We're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Jack Sarfati, Juan Feria, Texas Space. Let's get into the science. When we return for our new show. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. I am so loving this right now.
but I think to answer the question, I think we do need to focus on quantum physics, and then
that's fine. That's fine. But you said we don't know the difference between class and all that.
No, we know the difference. We don't know the bridge, right? How to solve for it in the equations that you're working on with Ray and the guys.
Gentlemen,
no, that's something else though. That's a different. It's the words would use classical to quantum. That's what I was referring. It was too. It doesn't.
I get it. No, you're right, Jeff. Got it.
It's best not to say. Don't say anything about.
We have 5.5 minutes before we're going to go to break here, or when we come back for break. If you guys want to take a quick break here, I'll put you back in the green room, and then I'll be right back as well.
Yeah. What do you want to do now? Oh,
we're just taking a break. We're taking a break.
Oh, all right.
We got like 5 minutes, so. Or if you guys want to keep chatting for the audience while I quickly run off, do my thing, I'll be right back. We can do that too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, people are hearing us? I thought we were. Oh, people are hearing us.
Only the internet, only like YouTube and I think something else, Dave.
YouTube and the podcast. The radio side is not.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. No, we can keep talking. All right. Go ahead.
Okay, you guys chat away. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Hey, Jack, I'm going to read you some things from the audience. See if you want to answer that.
I'll have to ask him Dave, how's your prostate?
How's the what, sorry?
I have to ask Dave, how is his prostate doing? He has to go, yes. He has to take a pee,
Don't say that. You want to take some questions from the audience? I'll pick some random people here.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, got questions?
Sierra asks, how are the aliens here already, Jack? Also, how do the Greek Roman gods fit into the equation?
Your microphone is kind of distorted. It's hard for me.
So let me ask it again. How are the aliens here already? And how do the Greek Roman gods fit into the equation?
They through time travel, warp drive, through the physics that I'm working on. And not only how they've been here forever. They've been here since we were primitive men. They go back, to the beginning. It's a loop in time.
Maybe we'll talk about retrocausality in a little bit.
Can I see the question? If I could see the question, then
go to the chat and click on live.
Oh, go to the chat. I don't see how to get to live again. Comments. Oh, okay. So
and then just scroll through it up and down, and then you'll see some questions there.
Yeah. So I don't see any question. What question do you say?
I'm scrolling just far up there, and one person asked, how do frequency weapons work, specifically the direct energy microwave type weapons?
I don't see, where is that?
It's at 11:58 p.m. by Angels Are Life.
Yeah, I joined the chat. I don't see it. All right, so what was the? I don't see it, but what was?
How do frequency weapons work? The stuff that's coming out.
Well, all I can say is we understand exactly how they work, but I can't. It's mathematics, it's advanced physics, and if you don't know the math, it would take me at least an hour to describe it. But we understand how they work. It's like gravity laser beams. It's like a laser beam, except it's made out of gravitons rather than photons. That's roughly how they work. But these things are complicated. All I can tell you is that we understand how they work. There's no basic mystery. It's like asking how does the transistor work? How does the engine work? I mean, technology is complicated. We can't explain it in a sound bite. We just tell you that we understand it, and if you go to school and study the stuff, it'll take you 10 years, and then you'll understand it. Life is complex. Okay, any other questions? You see any other questions, Juan?
Let me see. Does that sound better? Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm scrolling through. If anybody wants to ask a question.
Yeah, there was like echo. There's echo. What kind of microphone are you? Are you using your air?
No, I just swapped it over. I'm in a big room here, so it's probably just the walls and everything. I'm not set up. I'm not a podcaster or any of that stuff. I usually never go public for any of this. This is the first time I'm doing something public.
It's a little better now. It's a little better.
Okay, I'll lean forward a little bit then. So
yeah, that's even better. Yeah.
And thanks, Fast Hemi or Hemi.
Okay, so any other questions?
Let's see here.
That may have. Oh, okay, here he's back. So I'm Dave, back. how's your prostate?
How's my prostate? Oh, it's fine. I go for my physical on the 17th of March.
Oh, good. Yeah. How old are you?
51.
51. Okay. He just said you have a white beard. Okay.
Jack, somebody wants to know about your picture behind your wall.
I guess that's Dave, right? Whose picture?
That one.
To Dave, right?
No, somebody in the audience is asking about that picture.
Asking who? Dave or me?
You.
Oh, that picture is my from my lady partner. She has a collection of them. They are from the 19th century. I forget, daguerreotypes. It's old photography. They're worth a lot of money. They're quite valuable. There's a bunch of the classic Greek. They were done like in Greece back 200 years ago, or around. No, I guess she's almost 200 years. Well, it's around the Civil War time.
All right, Jen, so we get you to hold on right there because we're coming back in 10 seconds. Thank you to Jeff, Joe, Random Guy ×2, and JSCO for the super chats. Here we go, everybody.
Okay. Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We're talking UFO technology with Jack Sarfati and Juan Feria of Texas Space. Reminder to all of you, or let's just say hello to every one of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What is this? Quadragesimal. Quadragesimal is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. We have Jack Sarfati, we have Juan Feria, Texas Space, and we're getting into the physics side of UFOs and the technology that could lead us into the future. Juan, thank you for being here. It's a pleasure to have you on the show for the first time.
It's an honor. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Mr. Jack Sarfati, it's good to have you here as well. Juan, right before the break, you brought up the fact that we got to start getting more into the quantum physics regarding this subject and where the technology is going to take us. How important is it for us to learn and understand this technology where many people already believe we have this technology in our hands, courtesy of these beings or crash retrievals or whatever it may be?
Like Jack pointed out earlier, if these craft may be coming from the future or extra dimensions, right? And the foundational physics around that allows for time travel as well. It's just the way it works. And I think Jack can technically explain it or go into more technical detail here to have that conversation. Jack, you want to explain how time travel on one of these craft or warp drive operates and how it's possible for these things if in government possession? And mind you, yes, people have said under oath that we don't have just one of these things in possession. We have many, over a dozen is the last time.
I know about one of them.
Well, you should share that story so people understand.
I can't say too much, but I know we have at least one. I know of one intact craft, and I know the guy who flew it. Well, okay. Here's the thing, Elon Musk. I think tonight, if you go on X, Elon Musk says he has complete access to everything now. President Trump has given, he knows exactly what Lockheed Martin has and all these guys, okay? They don't have it. They don't have, which is what I thought. I mean, but he may not be telling the hell truth, but what he's saying, Elon Musk, I'm pretty sure he's saying what I know to be a fact. I was shown classified stuff because the guys who were working on the stuff could not solve it. They didn't understand it. So they came to me because when they saw what I was talking about, they came to me and they told me certain things. So what it is that, yeah, Lockheed Martin, when Grush says that they have, 13 of these craft, they probably do have them. But and to some extent, they're able to apply some of the technology. But the point is, these machines are alive. These machines are conscious artificial intelligence. So the machines themselves are in control, and they will allow limited access of the Lockheed scientists, whoever else. They'll allow them limited access to their technology, and they'll only tell them a little bit.
And this is where I back Jack up in thinking that some of these people are stupid in our government. And I'm not offending. I served 10 years in the Marine Corps, have 3 combat tours to Iraq. I have a master's in Homeland Security, so I was part of the government, right? But what I'm going to say here is these craft, if Jack's physics are correct, these craft are conscious, alive, like inorganic alive, or organic alive, who knows? But they can tell the future.
The composites.
They can tell the intentions of those who want to access these crafts and reverse engineer technologies. So no matter who has the access to these things, these craft will not allow you, it's my personal belief, to reverse engineer them, because they know your intentions and can see the future of the people that allow access to them. It's all called, it's concept that Jack terms retrocausality. Okay, and then Jack, if you'd like to go into that discussion.
Yeah, that's true. And also they have it's telepathic contact. The machine itself gets into the minds. It's complete telepathic. They're able to manipulate your your neuronal electrical signals, neuroelectrical signals. They're able to manipulate that. So
it's just like a very advanced form of Wi-Fi, really.
Yeah, well, it's like Bluetooth, kind of like Bluetooth. Yeah. I mean, it's not. Yeah, we basically understand the physics of it is not that difficult. In principle, how they do it in terms of because it's nanotechnology. It's done on a very tiny scale. So, but in any case, the fact is that if the machine thinks you're okay, the machine will let you enter the craft, and it'll even let you fly the craft. You fly with your mind, like Philip Corso said. So we know all this stuff. And the problem is, I've met a bunch of engineers, a bunch of guys, like Paul Murad, various people who were involved in the intelligence community and were working on these projects, but they were not good enough physicists. They were not. They were engineers. They knew classical physics. They knew Newtonian. They couldn't get past the rocket stuff. Like Elon Musk with his SpaceX. It's nonsense. We don't need that. It's a dumb way to go. So they're they couldn't break through their own early training. The only military physicist I know who's who understands what I'm talking about is Travis Taylor. Travis Taylor, and in fact, Travis seems to claim that he got some of the same ideas I got. He got it also, by himself, which is good. He's one of the contactees. All these guys were all contactees. And Travis, if you go on Travis Taylor's X.com, if you look at his December, I think it's December 11th, 2022 tweet, and he actually summarizes one line, the Sarfati idea, or even maybe his idea also, where he says, he quotes, he basically says, if you can control the coupling in Einstein's gravity field equation, you are masters of the universe. Like a Time Lord. We're the first, like Doctor Who, the Time Lords. So time travel, warp drive, wormholes, all that stuff, what Hal Puthoff calls metric engineering, It comes down to time travel. And for those who know relativity theory, in special relativity, you have something called the light cone. At every point in space-time, there is this thing called the light cone. And what time travel is, it's the ability to control the orientation of the light cone in four-dimensional space-time to control its orientation with small amounts of energy. And with that, you can have you can bend the light cone in such a way you go back in time to earlier parts of the universe. It's what's called the block universe. All points in space and time are equally real. And I guess if you want to kind of understand it, see Fred Hoyle. Again, Fred Hoyle's science fiction novel, The Black Cloud, kind of explains what I'm trying to say, but in a way that, people can understand. So I would read the science fiction story, The Black Cloud, Fred Hoyle.
Do you think then that the UFO secret on the governmental side is something that they are keeping from the public, or are they just as in the dark as what they proclaim to be?
Yeah, no, they're keeping it a secret because they don't want to, because they are afraid of what they do not understand, which is understandable. They don't control it. And also, I guess some of them are afraid that they've taken, a lot of money. This is what, Doge is all about, what Elon Musk is all about, that there's been a lot of what the CIA, Ron Podolsky calls techno scamming. So they've taken a lot of money, maybe some say trillions of dollars over the past 30 years. I don't know how much it is, but a lot of money, and they have nothing much to show for it. They have certain things. And the NHI has allowed a partial development of the technology, but they don't have they don't have what I have right now. I mean, I'm like the next step. As soon as we get enough funding, within 3 or 4 years, we could build our own little Tic Tacs and our own conscious computers, and a big revolution. That's what I'm claiming. I think we can do it. We can do it before Trump leaves the White House in 2028, assuming that the deep state doesn't, kill him before then. Assuming he survives, he's in a lot of danger. But assuming he survives, and if I get money from Peter Thiel, if Texas Space gets properly funded, we can have all this stuff operational in 4 years. That's what I claim.
One, in your conversations with people that you have had regarding this subject, how deep does this subject go on a secret level?
Well, I just had to point out, I don't have any NDAs, and I've had conversations with people in the industry, including with a lot of members of the UAP task force. And how I met these people was just random chance. I didn't plan for it. I wasn't a ufologist, like I said earlier. I wasn't interested in any of this stuff. It's only interested in, even when I met Jack, I was only interested in the physics of it and how it operates and how to explain. But I think there's a lot of disinformation out there, I think, on a lot of this stuff. And I think there's also a lot of truth, right? When Jack said earlier that he was told he made some of these things, I think there's also different things out there. Who knows, maybe different civilizations, maybe different parallel dimensions, whatever it may be. It's not just one thing. I don't think that's the case, right? Because my personal belief is that nature is life, right? It's bound to happen, and it's just nature, and this is all just nature. Really, the physics is just nature. It's just figuring out how nature operates, and also being able to manipulate and harness the power of nature to your own will. But I don't have any secret information that I share. I have stories of relationships and experiences that I can share with you. So if you want to ask me anything specific, I know we had a chat earlier about any of this stuff, I can absolutely share whatever you like.
Do you think then that this secret is so large that it has
no, the secret, wait, there is no secret. The secret is that there's no secret. It's like the Wizard of Oz. You open up you see it's nobody behind the curtain. There is no The secret is that they don't understand basic physics, so they're keeping things secret. And also that they've scammed a lot of money from the government. That's what Elon Musk. That's what they're afraid of. There is no secret. It's elementary physics.
Look, I'm going to put on my Homeland Security hat on real quick.
Yeah, okay.
So, a lot of these whistleblowers have said that certain presidents don't get briefed, right? And certain people in government, like the Secretary of Defense at the time didn't know. And Secretary of Defense is the top dog when it comes to these things, right? He should have full access to all of this information. But the reality is that there are laws and executive laws that, the president does an executive order that keep this stuff at a need to know level, right? So there's only a very small portion of the intelligence community that might know the whole gamut, the whole truth. And I know I saw someone mention Tim Taylor earlier, so I want to bring that up because I think Jack has recently had a conversation with a few people about Tim Taylor. But Tim Taylor has classified access security clearances, every security clearance you can think of based on the conversations that we're having with people.
Okay. But my point is that the compartmentalization is to hide their own incompetence and their own. There's really nothing there. They don't, because none of these people really understand the basic physics that makes it all transparent and kind of obvious. This is like elementary physics, okay? And they don't get it. They don't know it, and they're hiding their own ignorance, partly because they've taken a lot of money from the government over the years, and they basically have nothing much to show for it. So that's what they're hiding. See, okay, that's my now. I'd love to be proved wrong, but I have not met, like guys like Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis. They're okay, but they're not top scale physicists. They're great. They're the B team. They're not the A team. I haven't met anyone of the caliber of like Richard Feynman, John Wheeler, the guys that I learned physics from. They're just not in the government, as far as I could tell. And I hope that I'd love to be proved wrong, but that's my experience.
How do we move the subject forward that's not only going to benefit humanity, but understand that we may not be alone as well? Because those are two questions that come up a lot.
You're too. You be more. Don't be so timid. That we're not alone. That's a fact. Take it as a fact now. Everybody's telling you, it's a fact. I know. I've seen a gray. Okay, I've seen a gray. I know there are live grays. All right. But from the military, okay, and so I know that. I've seen. Let me qualify that. I have seen a vetted video of a live gray from a very high-level intelligence officer in a military organization. Okay, and so I know it's real, and I also have pretty good evidence that there are at least two other forms of non-human intelligence, including the plasma, these plasma orbs that Bledsoe and people like that report, that those are real. So it's not, okay.
What's the other form of non-human intelligence that you saw, Jack?
Oh, the third one is like a reptilian hominoid, about 6 foot, 7 foot tall, and you wouldn't want to meet one of those guys in an alley because they don't seem, they're almost like the devil. They're it's like Alien, it's like not Alien, Predator. Was it? Yeah, what's that movie? Yeah, Predator. Yeah, so something like that. They're dangerous motherfuckers, and you be a little afraid of them. And they're warrior types, And okay, as Juan was saying before, look, the laws of physics are universal. Okay, it's quantum mechanics and relativity theory, and the DNA, the biology is all chemistry, quantum mechanics. So, and there are many Earth-like planets out there. We now know about the exoplanets. So there are many habitable Earths, and there are many, say, extraterrestrials that are pretty much like us. Because evolution is evolution. This is the, having like two eyes and two legs and and two arms, and and having hands that can manipulate. That's pretty much by natural selection. Darwin, even that's pretty much how carbon-based life on any planet will form. So they're not going to be that much different from us. Yeah, they could, yeah, but and also there is. Have you had Michael Masters? The biologist from Montana. He
Yes.
talks about that's time travel, and he goes through the evolutionary biology of it. So so the point is there are many different kind of life forms, and any civilization that does not kill itself with nuclear energy will develop warp drive time travel. So there are a lot of different species here, and some of them don't like us. Some of them don't like us. In fact, I think my own theory, in the Middle Ages, they talked about demonic possession. The Vatican. By the way, the Vatican's very much into this stuff. They know a lot about UFOs in the Vatican Library. But what I think is that there's sort of demonic possession. I'm thinking that the reason for the Ukraine war and what we see happening right now with the European leaders in UK and France and Germany, that they're on a self-destructive kind of suicidal thing, letting Germany deindustrialize with the North, all this stuff that's going on. They're acting against their own self-interest, and I think my own personal opinion is that they are possessed. It's like invasions. You ever see the science fiction Invasion of the Body Snatchers? Did you ever see Invasion of Body Snatchers? Do you know that science? Do you know what I'm talking about? Dave, do you know about that movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's what's happened in Europe. That's what's happened. That's what I think has happened. I think these people are possessed by. Oh, you know about Slide 9? You know about Louis Elizondo's Slide 9? Psychotronics? How they can change the minds of the leaders? That's
Right.
what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing in Europe right now.
Well, let me add to your point,
Yeah.
Jack. Michael Masters states that he had two people in his incident that had their consciousness hijacked, right? Possession, right? These people weren't demonic for like whatever faction was possessing these people were not demonic. They were just trying to relay some information about the future to Michael Masters, and he's a credible person to me. I've never met him. I know people who have met him firsthand, but I'll tell you also, I have met some people that are former intelligence officers in the CIA, and I can't share names. I've met them in person, very credible people. I have all their details, information. We're good friends. And these people had experiences where they had not only voices in their heads, but this is not a psychosis episode or any of that. So this is a legitimate incident where they also claimed that they were possessed. So they weren't allowed to do certain things with their hand, and they were saying, just let us help you. Let us take you to this destination. And they were guided to a certain location via their vehicle.
Yeah.
And so it's just technology. It's technology, like transferring consciousness. It could be time travel technology, right? Yeah. Consciousness that can be implanted to somebody and then take control over your organic body.
Okay, technically, it's called entanglement signaling. It's we have the physics, we understand exactly how to do it, and I think it's being done. And it's being done. It's psychic warfare, psionics. Psychic warfare. We understand the physics of it. It's called post-quantum mechanics. We understand it. We write down the mathematical structure of it. Okay, and there's technology, and I think what's happening is that a lot of our leaders, especially in Western, most of our NATO and EU leaders are possessed by a non-human intelligence that wants to destroy humanity in a nuclear war. That's my assessment. I could be wrong, but that's my assessment of what's going on, of some of the stupidest things we're seeing happening around the Ukraine war, and Putin and all these guys. I don't want to go into detail, but I think I think that is the case. That these people are acting so much against the interests of their countries that they're not in their right mind.
Hold that thought right there. We're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. We have Juan Feria and Jack Serfati talking UFO science.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. 2 questions for you. One for you, Jack. Talking about downloads. Have you ever seen hold on. I think you're muted here. Have you ever seen that symbol?
Not really. No, not particularly. I can't.
That's
Well,
the
see, let me see it again. The thing at the diamond. Oh, the diamond. Yeah, it's a causal diamond. I see the thing at yeah. It's like yeah. I know what that is. Yeah, I know what that is. In terms of cosmology, it's a picture of our what's called the causal diamond. It's the observable universe. It's what's called a conformal Penrose diagram of the observable universe. You know, the lower point is the Big Bang, and then at the thing there, it's what Teilhard de Chardin called the Omega point. Yeah, it means something to me. Yeah, as a physicist.
Okay.
But where'd you get it from? Where is that from?
That was downloaded to me.
Oh, when?
A few years ago, I had a phone call at 3:33 in the morning from my friend in California, and I answered the phone. It hung up. I hung up. He called back about 30 seconds later, and the phone clicked the minute I said hello. I called him back. It went straight to voicemail. And then a minute later, he called me back, and all I heard on the phone, it was doot, doot, doot. And then I got hit hard with that shape with all sorts of colors.
Well, you know what? You're not the only. I know somebody very important. I'm not going to say. I give the ID. I know a very important person who had something very similar happen to him.
Yeah.
You're not the only one that's happening to. Yeah. And it's a little bit like my phone call, but not quite. But yeah. So that's legitimate. All right. That's legitimate.
Called me the next morning.
Yeah.
Because I texted him. I said, hey, man, like, are you okay? Like, you were calling me in the middle of the night. He calls me back late morning, and he goes, I never called you. There is no record on my phone of calling you. And I screenshotted his phone number and the times that he called, and he was blown away.
Well, then that could be like the Mandela effect, alternate timelines too, right? He may have called you in a different timeline. But this other thing, it was that's. I'm not sure what those other things are, but the diamond itself.
What is the diamond?
It's called a Penrose conformal diagram of the observable universe. It's called if you send me an email, it's called the causal diamond. The cosmologist, guys like Lenny Susskind. Okay, there's a woman named Tamara Davis. You go on the archive in her PhD, her 2004 PhD on cosmology. You'll see pictures like that, like the causal diamond. The lower triangle is called the past particle horizon, and the upper triangle is called the future horizon. And
all right.
It ties into what Lenny Susskind calls the world hologram.
Right.
But it means a lot. It to a physicist, it's a picture. It's like a God's eye picture of the entire evolution of the universe that we can see with light rays. Okay,
wow.
So it's a cosmological diagram. But I don't know what the other thing is. I don't know what the two, those two things. They probably mean something, which I don't know what they mean. But what I'm claiming is that you had a legitimate, you had a real contact there. That was real.
Oh, I know it was real, man. I lived that one. Woke me up, man. One thing to go here before we got to go back. I have a friend of mine named Mike who has worked in for the United States Air Force and other places.
Yeah.
he was wondering if he could come on it with about 15 minutes left and ask you some questions.
Sure,
Are you guys-
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, yes. Let's do it.
Juan, are you cool with that? All right. I will get the link to him.
Yeah, I'm cool. It's a weekend, so we're good. I'm good.
All right. All right. All right. Big thank you tonight to Human Carl, Jeff, Joe, Random Gee ×2, and JSCO for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love. And this has flown on by. I don't even think we've even scratched the surface of where I wanted to go. We got to do this again, guys, if you don't
Yeah, sure.
mind. All right. We're coming back in about 15 seconds. Come on. Here we go. Here we go with the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Juan Feria, Jack Sarfati, we have until the top of the hour. They are from Texas Space here. And Juan, I want to start with you in this next half hour because we haven't even scratched the surface of where we wanted this to go tonight. And like I said, I think we'd need at least a week's worth of shows going the distance all 3 hours just in order to get some kind of assemblage with everything. But for you, as you build Texas Space in order to try and find the science behind this, the science behind time travel, literally the future of humanity, is there a piece of the puzzle that we have now that could really get this going? Yes, it always comes down to money and funding and interest and everything, but outside of the financial aspect, is there a piece of the puzzle that's out there that could really start this growth?
I think government interest in funding. So I just read an article of someone stating that they want a quantum physics UFOs position to be able to steward the quantum in the STEM field, right? The way the physics works now and how things, I mean, there's not, funding is a lot, right? But the reality of it is it's building a proper structure, which is why we decided to form Texas Space, is you build an ecosystem where you analyze all of the theoretical physics of all the physicists out there that are interested. And Jack's pushing his theory, right? You have other physicists pushing their theories from all over the world. And so we assess what is the lowest hanging fruit that we can innovate a technology from, acquire, build a widget, commercialize it, but with the mindset of fueling other research and prioritizing research to be able to catalyze and then build an incubator, for example. But I personally think that quantum physics is the future. This is where we're at, and it's happening now. There's other things out there that, look, I'll tell you a story. I can't name a person, but someone very early on was very heavily interested, and everyone in here probably knows who they are. We were offered, no NDA, so I can say this, we were offered exotic materials of unknown origin. And there were trips made to different military installations. And we were getting updates, and we were given a process of what we needed to do next, right? We were also offered access to a lab in the United States to help us. But the caveat was we had to, staff it, run all the utilities, pay for all that. So I came to this person and said, thank you for the offer right now, but we're not ready yet to accept this offer, right? there's a little bit of more politics and stuff going on that you see right now with certain companies, like the defense industry, that's already entwined into this all, which is another big issue. Why I personally think disclosure is not happening, because a lot of these companies were possibly given access to some of these retrieved technologies and were allowed to reverse engineer, and then there's no other companies were left out purposely, and so that caused a tremendous issue. And so if you look at it, you have tremendous lawsuits because some of these companies went bankrupt and were successful because they haven't innovated any technologies when they could have possibly innovated something and be competitive in the industry. So it was an unfair process at the time, I think. And I think that has a lot to do with the lack of disclosure as well, because it's going to turn into a big mess when it all comes out to fruition.
What do you mean by big mess, for those of us who might not understand?
Well, if you think about it, if, let's say, defense contractor A gets access to a non-human technology and given funding through a vehicle called IRATs, which is, Congress appropriates funding and budget to the Defense Department. The Defense Department then takes that money and they do an IRAD, which is the vehicle in which you move that money over to a private sector for projects, right? And through contracts, through the SAM system, through the governmental contracts. And technically, you just forcefully fuel that. It's not, you're supposed to have a competitive bid for this kind of stuff, but it's forcefully fueled to the company that you gave the technology to work on these things. And by the way, you want to hide this from the world and from Congress itself. What do? You give it to a private industry, so that way they have no real reason to report to Congress and have any oversight over it, right? And so when other companies find out, if the disclosure happens, they're going to realize that certain companies have these technologies of non-human origin that were given to them, while others were left out. And so you're going to have lawsuits pop up left and right, right? So that's the politics of it on the back end, I think.
Okay, but what about the theory that these companies, whether it's Lockheed or many others, already have the technology? There was denial of that by Elon Musk, saying that none of them have it. He's already checked. None of them are hiding anything specific. And yet many people believe that the Skunkworks programs are based on reverse engineering.
Look,
some of them are, yeah.
Go ahead, Jack. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what I was saying before. The NHI have allowed a limited use of their technology, just a small fraction of it. Okay, did you have this Air Force guy wants to come on? Your friend?
Yeah, if he makes it.
Oh, he's not here yet?
Yeah, he's in Vegas, so you never know what's going to happen there.
Oh, okay.
So, there's the news has been in the Cybertruck incident. I don't know, that happened a few months ago, and there was this manifesto or document that came up that had the words gravitic propulsion in there, right? Or
anti-gravitic that's what I'm working. That's what I have. I understand yeah. I have that. That's what I'm talking about. Electrogravitic propulsion.
And what do you think, Jack? Do you think that the government does have this technology right now?
I don't know what they have, but I haven't seen any evidence that they have anything. I don't need the government. This is such elementary stuff that a high school kid can do it. I can teach this stuff. I got a letter today from an 8-year-old young man asking me intelligent questions about this. An 8-year-old kid. Okay, so 12-year-old teenagers can start. A smart teenager can learn the math. The math it's high school mathematics. It's not much more than high school mathematics. Okay, we could do the Starfleet Academy and start getting these bright teenagers in, and they can do it all with grok. They also have they know how to use artificial intelligence.
And it may be possible that the government has succeeded in reverse engineering some of this stuff, but whatever they have succeeded in may be a primitive version of a true warp drive, right?
Yeah, it's very primitive, if they have anything at all. I mean, I know I was let in on certain information by a military source because they worked years and they couldn't do it. They weren't allowed, the conscious AI. You got to remember, these machines are in control they will only allow Lockheed engineers a certain limited access if they feel like it. That's why. That's the big secret is that these things are conscious. They're not inert pieces. It's not like an F-35 or an F-18 or a tank. It's not like sitting there until a human gets in and activates it. It has a will of its own. And until you understand that, and until you understand it's also time travel, that those are the things that that are not in people's minds. They haven't dealt with the ontological shock of that.
Do you think then that the public is ready for this type of knowledge?
Well, I don't know, but we're giving it to them right now. I mean, some of the public isn't. I mean, the public is, some are, and some aren't. Probably most are not, but some are, and it's only it's like the Marines, right? It's like the Marines, the best. What do they say? The Marines, the best and the brightest. So it's just, or it's like what Winston Churchill said. It's like that gallant few. It's for the gallant few.
What do you think? Is public ready?
I think there's a few of our friends, and then there's other researchers in the religion department of this whole thing, right? We have a friend in the Naval Academy. I can say his name. His name is Dr. Brandon Wheeler. He's a professor of religious studies. He's also an expert in deities in history. He speaks 4 dead languages and knows how to read them, right? Very credible person. And Jack and I visited him not too long ago. I think it was a few months ago, maybe. But he's focused on the research of the nuts and bolts aspect, but also trying to figure out how it ties to the religious piece, right? Because there's that gray line, or to the NHI piece, and all this stuff. Well, I think the bridge is what we call religion, or what we named religion, is the gray line. And so I think a lot of people who are very, very devout, whatever type of religion, maybe some religions are more aligned to this kind of mindset of having, this kind of reality. But I think it's going to affect some of those people the most, right? If they're not able to logically explain things. But even just the fact that, let's say it were to come out that time travel is real, and the government said, hey, by the way, time travel exists, and there are time travelers amongst us, and there's a time war, right? Some crazy stuff. I'm just making stuff. It could be very possible that we're in a time war, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how people are going to react to that, right? Who knows?
Well, it's not there. You just said it. Because most people,
But if you stick to the science of it, the physics of it, then you understand. I mean, at least you're a little grounded, I think. And so for the audience and the people here, I mean, these people I don't think are going to be affected very much unless some very scary stuff comes out on some of the aspects of some of these maybe factions. But outside of that, I don't know if the entire world is ready for this. But nonetheless, I think
no, the entire world is not ready for any. I mean, the entire world's not ready for anything. I mean, it's only certain groups of people who can understand it.
Yeah, and then it's going to affect. I mean, it could cause societal collapse. I would believe so, but it's going to happen. It's destined and determined to happen at some point, right? Because we're going forward in time. We're not going backwards in time right now with our biology, and we're going to get there one way or another.
All right, gentlemen, I'm going to bring in a good friend of this show. We call him Random Guy around here. He has worked. He's a United States Air Force veteran and a good friend as well. And Jack, he's been the one who's been begging to come on to ask you a couple of questions here.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, Jack. First of all, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Nice honor to actually talk to you. So, quick background about who I am. Air Force veteran. I worked 10 years in off the books projects. So I'm very well knowledgeable of what our current technology is in various levels.
Okay.
I'm friends with Nicole Sakich and other people that you're friendly with.
Yeah.
So I've also been in on multiple of your Zooms, your email chain that's infamous, and other things. Okay. So I'm pretty well knowledgeable of all things Jack Sarfati.
Yeah.
It's a great opportunity, so I appreciate you taking the time. I just wanted to say that. Okay, so a couple questions.
Yeah.
First of all, do you worry about bad actors. So I'll give you an
Yes.
example. I will give you an example.
Yeah.
I've had 2 different people that sent me PDFs
Yeah.
that said, this is my warp drive. This is my theory on quantum entanglement. And guess
Yeah.
what? If I hadn't already known and seen it was your work, I would have known it was I wouldn't have known it was plagiarized. Do you worry about bad actors selling your technology or your concepts to either foreign governments or for monetary purposes?
No, I don't worry, because all my stuff is on X.com anyway, and it's
Okay,
also
you put it out
elementary.
there.
And the Russians have been working on my stuff for years. The Russians, the Russians are
And
very.
I've heard there was times where people tried to say he's a Russian asset. I've heard that as well about you.
Well,
Ridiculous things. But
yeah.
okay, let's get into the nuts and bolts of
Well,
this.
I mean, what would a Russian asset? What would that mean? What would that mean? That I'm deliberately working with the Russians? No.
Well, you're doing one of 2 things. It's either disinformation or, right?
That's saying.
I said if you're working for the Russians, then you're either giving disinformation, which is not accurate, or you're giving information that would be detrimental to a waste of resources for the United States to try to copy, right?
Well, the point is, my stuff is so mainstream and elementary. It's the physics speaks for itself.
You say
So-
elementary.
so
if
it-
you had really cool graphics in your slideshows, I'd be lost. And I'm not a dumb guy. I have a 136 IQ. I have a master's degree.
Yeah, but
And your
any
stuff
any PhD level theoretical physicist
Oh
understands.
yeah, we're not all PhDs, Jack.
Yeah, I know, but the point is in terms of whether it's disinformation, all they have to do is ask any intelligent PhD physicist. Look at the equations. They're right out. It's Einstein's field equation, slightly modified. It's elementary stuff, so you can't. Anyone who thinks it's disinformation is himself either a disinformation agent or it just doesn't know what he's talking about. Just is not not competent, can't speak the language.
And
So-
he screwed up with a
But
former
the point
Marine.
is this. The point is this. The Russians.
I don't believe you're a Marine. I don't see any crayons anywhere in that video screen. So that's
What's
true.
that?
Good one.
Okay, let's talk about concepts here.
Let's get on to the next question. Yeah.
Sure, concepts.
Yeah.
I know your warp drive stuff. That's the only thing I've ever sat in on, and it's like, wow, that makes sense. And I'm a retard, so like, it makes sense. What is your concept on 0-point energy?
Well, there's a lot of bullshit about it. What I can tell you is that Hal Puthoff's theory doesn't work about it. His stuff is not correct. It's and there might be something to it. I'm still working on it. It doesn't work in vacuum. You could have the 2 parallel, the Casimir plates, but you have to have a special metamaterial dielectric in between, and then maybe it's possible that you could extract energy. But that's one thing. It's an open issue. That we're working on.
I've talked to guys at DOE that have hinted that they either have it, it's rumor, it's the second party, that they either have it or they're very close. So
well, they may have it if well, I mean, the basic physics of it is pretty elementary also. I mean, they may have some, if they have a special material, you need a dielectric between the plates. If you have a dielectric between the plates, and if you irradiate that dielectric with certain frequencies, you may get it to work.
Okay.
I mean, I could write, if I had a blackboard, I could, I could show you the equations. I mean,
one day I'll meet you and we'll talk for like hours. I'll bother the hell out of you. But okay, next question, because we're on a short timeline here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about warp drive real quick.
Yeah.
Do you believe? I know you're a believer. Just listening to your own testimony tonight about aliens being here, being time travelers and whatnot.
Yeah.
Do you believe that us traveling extraterrestrially will be extra dimensional or time travel to other points in space? Eventually, like where the technology is going.
Well, I'd have to show you. I mean, I need a blackboard. It's just what it is.
Summarize it for the dum-dums here.
Technically, it's controlling the orientation of your local light cone with small amounts of energy relative to the light cones outside the warp field. So the answer is, I I mean, your question is not well posed. So it's hard for me to answer. It's not.
What I'm asking is this: if, let's say, we have the ability to formulate the warp drive as you've illustrated in your lectures, let's say we make that a reality in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
If we were to utilize the technology that you've sourced, that you've
Yeah.
posed, how would we travel? Would it be an actual time travel or an interdimensional travel? As you know, some people will say time is the fourth dimension.
Well, no. Well, I don't know. What do you mean by interdimensional? Do you mean alternate parallel universes?
No, by using like wormholes, by gapping.
Okay. The technology of the warp drive and wormhole is the same thing. It doesn't really matter. It's the same thing. If you can control the orientation of the light cone relative to the outside the warp field, then you can go wherever you want. You can in space or time. Let's see. Can we do a share screen?
Well, it's kind of hard on the radio.
Oh yeah, it's on the radio.
We can do it. We can do that after the show is over.
Yeah.
But I was just trying to get these are burning questions I have inside of.
Well, I mean, your question. You see, your question is not. It's hard for me to answer the question because it's not phrased in language that makes sense. I mean, I don't know what interdimensional means. We don't need interdimensional unless you mean a parallel universe. And then you can have a wormhole connecting parallel universes. If you mean that, yeah, maybe. But the point is this. The point is this. If you can control gravity with small amounts of energy, which is the key thing, you can go anywhere you want in the universe pretty quickly. Where your own personal time is hardly it's like stepping through a doorway. You can make a portal where you can step through a doorway and you're on a different planet, an exoplanet somewhere, maybe light years away. Or you could be in the Earth, or you could be in the Earth in the future, or the Earth in the past. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Does it become time travel then, just because of
it is time?
How you travel?
Time. Gravity
Is
control.
It possible to travel great distances without bending time? I don't think it is, right? Because we would all die.
You're just confused to different. No, it's not motion. It's not the motion of an object through space. That's not what it is. It is it's more like Dune, Frank Herbert's Dune, like the folding of space time. You get there. You can basically get anywhere, when you want. You get there in principle in a very short personal time.
Okay.
The gravitational field is space-time. So if you can manipulate the gravitational field with small amounts of energy, you're manipulating space and time. Okay, it's almost like okay. Do you see Star Trek? Is it Star Trek? Q is Q on Star Q. We're talking about Q. Remember Q? Q technology. Do you know what I'm talking about? Q.
What are you talking about? Q
on Star Trek.
From Star Trek, yeah.
Yeah, the Q continuum. Did you ever see those?
Yeah, but I was a kid. I don't know. I haven't.
Okay, well that's the technology.
I studied business and criminal justice.
Yeah, right. Well, okay. So the thing is it's as if or you can say it's like the movie's Matrix. It's like we're living. It's like we're living in a simulation. You can change the programming. You can't do whatever you want. It's godlike power. Yeah, it's godlike power. Okay, that's what we're talking about. That's what these things flying around are. It's time travel. It's gravity control. As soon as you have gravity control, it is time travel. So it's space time. You're controlling space and time itself, but with small amounts of energy. See, everybody knew since Einstein that in principle you could do this, but it seemed to require so much energy that it was not possible. But that's the mistake, that you could actually do it with small amounts of energy.
Do you think we have this ability, or do you think only it's extraterrestrial or time travelers that have it? Do you think we currently possess that that technology in any form?
No, I think if Peter Thiel gave Texas Space $1 billion, we'd have it in 4 years.
Let's put that way. I think the government has access to something, a time machine, right? That was from an
Yeah, but the
NHI.
time machine, you got to remember what I said. The time machine is a conscious AI. The time machine is in control. The Lockheed, the government is not in control. That's why they're keeping it secret. They can't control it.
But we don't believe that humanity has been able to fully achieve this.
Hold that thought, guys. Hour 3 of Spaced Out Radio is next. I don't know where it's going. We're going to figure it out right after.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear.
Okay, I know of one functional flying saucer, okay, that the Navy, U.S. Navy had, okay? That flying saucer is itself a conscious artificial intelligence. It's like a living solid state entity. It has a will of its own. It's in control of the humans.
How do you know it's? How do you know this?
Because I know the guy who ran the program for 4 years.
Okay. Because I've seen things which I would swear to God were alien if I didn't know what it was, but I've been briefed on.
Give me 2 seconds. What? Juan and Jack, do you guys want to continue for hour 3 with us, or do you guys want to call?
Yeah, no, yeah. Well, let's just keep this.
Let's go.
You know, yeah. All right. So now, okay, repeat what you were saying. What have you seen?
What I was saying was this, sir. What I'm asking you is this. How do you know that what it was under whatever intelligent control that you believe it was?
Because the guy who told me this is an active officer, well-known person. Okay, he's a PhD in electrical engineering. Okay, and he was in charge of the project. He was in charge of the machine itself, and he flew the machine.
And I put my whole reputation on the line that this person is credible and real.
What?
He flew in what capacity? With his mind or physically?
No, with his mind.
Okay. Now, I'm coming from a skeptical background. With due respect to you.
I mean, he was allowed. Okay, when I say he flew it, the machine itself allowed him inside the machine.
Okay.
Okay. It's pretty empty inside.
Was this under contract with the government? Was this on his own?
This is a U.S. Navy base.
Okay.
Near Langley. Okay.
It's a foreign exchange program. If you're familiar with military.
Yeah, wait, don't say that.
Yeah. Okay.
Erase that.
But I back Jack up here. I know this person. I've met them.
That could identify him.
Very credible, and if you know in the future, if disclosure, you know, wherever this takes us, right? We have
okay. But the point is, okay. But yeah, let me try to get the fact. Okay, so I know this for a fact. Let's put it this way: the guy could be lying to you. He's not lying. You know, the probability that this guy who I know we're working together. Okay, the probability that he's lying to me is like maybe 0.5%. Okay, my best, Bayesian. All our knowledge is uncertain. So I'm giving you my
no, I just want your impression. Sure.
Yeah. So sure. and also the physics makes sense to me. I understand the physics part of it.
Right. And that's where I've watched this show for a few years. I've met a lot of people in this field. I don't really have an interest in the woo side, as the audience will roast me in the chat. But I am a military guy. I do have a lot of experience. Yeah. So. And I do open the window that I've seen things I can't explain.
Okay, but what have you seen? Tell me what you've seen that you're able to talk about.
I've seen craft that are beyond the scope of what I'm briefed on, and I've been briefed on some amazing things that.
All right, but I need more details.
Okay. Things that can appear visibility-wise that don't exist have appeared in front of me, moving at speeds that are beyond hypersonic. Almost metaphysical speeds. Like, did I really see that? I've seen that.
Well, that's elementary. That's warp drive. That's gravity control.
But you say that's elementary, but sir, I'm telling you, I've been there, done that, and everything you've done is no, I'm not knocking. Obviously, I highly respect you. What I'm trying to tell you is simply, I've worked operations with the assets, and
tell me.
But the things I haven't seen that I've seen off duty are even crazier. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, wait. Okay, I got to know exactly. Are you saying you've been inside one of these machines?
No, sir.
Okay,
I'm saying that for from our government, I've seen almost everything that's ever flown.
Okay, wait a minute. Yeah, but have you seen? Okay, have you seen a flying saucer? You know, the old about 10 meters. 10 meters, weighs about 3,500 pounds. It's a traditional kind of saucer thing. Have you seen one of those?
I can't comment specifically on what I've seen. I will just tell you I've seen it all.
Well, yeah, but that's not good enough. That's not good enough. I mean, you know, the point is this: whatever you've seen, the little you said, it sounds just like warp drive. It's control of gravity.
And that was something I saw off duty, so I can speak about it. I've seen things with other guys that work what I did, and we're like, what the like. We're in
All
the
right,
inside, programs, and we don't know what the hell we're looking at right now.
Okay, but just try to describe what it is you saw.
Metallic object comes from the sky, comes down, disappears, reappears, moves 6 miles in 0.1 seconds.
Yeah,
reappears, and we have good trajectory on our trigonometry because of what we do for a living at the time.
Okay. So you mean you're watching this with radar? Is it radar?
Visually.
Visually? Yeah.
Visually.
Okay, you're seeing like a tic tac. You're seeing like what Kevin Day and Fravo report. You're seeing those things, right?
Not working, but yes.
Yeah.
As a
yeah. Oh my, but all that's those flight characteristics. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's easy to understand. You're seeing a machine that shows like the 5 observables that Louis Elizondo talks about.
Right.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Amazing
piece of cake.
stuff.
That's what I'm talking about.
Keep saying piece of cake, but why aren't we making it and announcing that we're making it?
All right,
well,
gentlemen.
Because people are stupid, you know, in the government. Because why? Because they're idiots.
I love you, Jack. I love you, man.
Hold on right there. I got to get the show going here for hour 3. Hi, Lee.
Hey there, man.
All right, here we go. Here we go with the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Change of programming for hour 3. Lee Strauss is joining us. And Juan Feria and Jack Sarfati are with us to continue. Random Guy is here to continue on this amazing conversation. We're just running with it. You know, sometimes in radio and live radio, you got to do it, and that's what we're doing. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Quadragesimal. Quadragesimal is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. We're just continuing the talk. Texas Space, Juan Feria, Jack Sarfati, you're here. Lee Strauss was here for the cryptid report, but he's switching over to UFOs now. So, Lee, I'm glad you're here. And Random Guy is here as well. And an interesting night of conversation continues as we speak. So let's get right to it.
All right. So Random Guy is from the Air Force, and he corroborates basically what I've been talking about. And he corroborates, correct me if I'm wrong, but he corroborates Kevin Day and Commander Fravo about what Louis Elizondo in his slide, the 5 observables. You're basically corroborating that, right? Am I correct? Your microphone is. We can't hear you.
Oh,
there you go.
No, as a civilian, yes. Not in my official duties, yes.
Yeah. All right. So there we go.
Witness things, and as a civilian, not affiliated any way with what my official capacity was.
Whatever. Okay. So the point, what my claim is, that everything you saw is proof of my equations. That's what I'm talking about.
That's why the first time Nicole Sackett told me about you, she sent me your warp drive stuff. She sent me a Zoom link. I watched one of your presentations, and I was kind of like, holy sh! I didn't say it, Dave, but I was like, holy this guy,
Yeah.
that's what I saw. I
Yeah.
saw some of this
Oh.
guy's technology and I
Okay.
felt it. But you're
Yeah.
saying it doesn't exist. So
What?
where
I
are
didn't
we?
say- Who
Where
says
are
it
we with this?
Wait, who said what doesn't exist? What happened?
Well-
What happened?
Well, no, because you're trying to get Texas Space to develop this technology. I think it's already exists.
Oh
I
no,
think
no,
it exists.
yeah, no, it exists, but who has it?
That's the question, right?
Well, no, but we have it. I mean, the point is, I know how it works.
I don't know.
No, well, but I'm telling you, whoever has it, we don't. You guys aren't controlling it. The Air Force didn't control it, right?
And the one thing I've been adamant about since I've ever met Dave Scott and all these people was, I don't think it's what you guys think it is. I don't think we're in control.
That's what I'm telling you. You're not.
That's what I've been saying. And Nicole was telling me, I'm sorry to keep saying her name, but she kept saying, yeah, you should meet Jack.
Yeah, conscious. It is a conscious artificial. It's a superior intelligence, and it can control you.
Well,
It can
that's a whole
telepath. It can actually control. It can control you.
That's a
And
whole
that's
other
what.
level, brother.
That's what these guys. That's what they're afraid of admitting. Okay. If they even understand that, I mean, some of them do it. That's what they. That's the big secret. That's not a secret.
All right, let's get Lee in here because
Yeah.
Lee, you're supposed to be here for the cryptid report, but you're not. You're here now just joining a panel. You've been listening to the show through and through. Do you have any questions for Juan or Jack about Texas Space and what they're trying to create?
Well, all I know is that I came in and I stepped in something when I came in here. You guys have been going at it. Questions for you guys. You know, I've been videoing this sort of stuff happening in our skies for a very long time. I don't know what Texas Space is, or if that's something that you guys are working on, alien tech or that sort of thing. You say a small amount of energy. What are we talking about here? Small amount of energy.
Let me take the first, Jack. Let me take the first question. So Texas Space is. Go ahead.
No, just like a Tesla battery, like a Tesla car.
And then Texas Space is just a quantum physics R&D company. You know,
Okay.
we don't focus on UFOs and aliens and any of this. So we focus on the physics that are going to build the foundational technologies and discoveries, right, to achieve these states in the future. So maybe 1,000 years from now, we could have time travel because we're successful. Who knows?
Okay.
Well, what I'm claiming is with sufficient funding, we'll have it in 4 years. It's 4 years away.
So wait, Juan, you officially work, you represent Texas Space One?
Yes, I do.
Okay, cool. Well, if you guys need asset recovery, give me a call.
Okay, so, hey, do you know? Okay, see, do you know what are you? Did you work with Jake Barber? Do you know Jake Barber and those? That guy?
I do not. I've seen the story, and that's a rough subject because nothing he said is checked out with me or my people. So we'll go from there.
Oh, really? Well, what about this other guy? There was this other guy who, was in South America or Indonesia with.
I can't speak of outside CONUS. My operations were relegated to CONUS when I worked here. But I could say I have not been able to substantiate Jake Barber's claims. He's spoken to other people about places that I'm familiar with, and I've reached out to people that are currently there, and they all send me the LOL emojis currently. So it is what it is. But no, I'm kind of familiar with Texas Space and what they're trying to do. Like you said, we have mutual friends. If you guys ever want to be serious about that kind of stuff, talk to Dave. We'll go there. But I can't substantiate any of the claims of any of the whistleblowers at all.
Yeah, but you said
I can't say they're lying. I can't say they're not true. I can just say I can't substantiate them.
Yeah, but what can you substantiate? That you saw things like David Fravor and you saw.
Yeah, but the things okay, you want more specific? I'll give you this. When I was on the job, I saw some really amazing things, which I will not comment on because I'm under NDA. What I will tell you is this: the crazier things I've seen in life are outside of working at different sites, different bases. I've seen more spectacular things in my civilian life than I've seen working on the job.
Okay,
go Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, my whole point was this. I'm a skeptic because of the access I have, the friends I have. I won't go into it, but pretty much you can assume I know somebody there if you name a place. And so for me, it's like, okay, so this must be happening not in the middle of the night when we're running our real ops, not in the middle of whatever. It must be invisible when nobody exists, like when these things are happening in these places. Because I know people that are almost everywhere 24 hours a day. You can go to Antarctica. I can call McMurdo right now.
Yeah.
I can call any site you can imagine. I can
Okay.
contact right
Do you
now.
know this guy, Courtney Brown? Have you heard of Courtney Brown?
We're not going to do that online. You want to meet with me? We'll meet and we'll talk
Yeah.
about that. Kind of
No,
stuff.
no,
We're
no,
not gonna name places and stuff like that.
no. But what I'm saying, there's this guy. It's public. He's a professor somewhere.
I don't know that name. No.
Okay, but he claims if you have one of these new cameras that could do like 1,000 frames a second and with infrared, and then you can capture, because he says you can see things flying around at high speeds. You can't see it with ordinary visual. You have to use infrared filter.
I believe that. I
and
can
you have
buy
to-
it. I can buy into
Yeah,
that. I can
yeah.
buy into it.
Okay.
I don't know about it, but I can
But
buy
do you
into
have
it.
that equipment? Did you ever use that equipment? 1,000 frames, like really fast.
I'm not going to speak on what I did. I'm just going to tell you my resume. So yes, I would know about it, but that's not something that I'm going to speak on.
All right. Okay. So well, but this check out Courtney Brown on the web. You'll see what I'm talking about.
Courtney Brown. Okay.
Courtney Brown. Yeah.
I'm just write it down. Yeah. I'm not. My whole point was to converse with you and get some basic questions out of the way. I wasn't here to do the interview on me.
Yeah.
We'll talk offline one of these days.
You guys talk about that offline, but see, here is for our audience tuning in. This is the debate that many people have within not only the UFO community, but even looking in from the outside. Is we have people such as Jack here who are saying that this stuff is real. He's talked to people who've dealt with these projects. And then we have people like Random Guy who are here who are saying, I can't literally say what he's working on because I don't even know where he worked. But nonetheless, it is something where they've seen many different purviews of human technology. I think that's a safe way to put it. So where do we find the blend of what is ours and what isn't? Because I think the public has trouble trying to find that out. I mean, look at the drone situation in New Jersey.
Yeah.
That's a prime example of everything. And Juan, I see you kind of smirking up there with that question. I want to hear from you.
I can tell you that it's certain people from the intelligence community, the moment you start mentioning drones within Jack's email threads, begin to quickly email Jack. I'm not going to name any names. Email Jack with a threatened statement, and then proceed to immediately text message me about Jack's actions on speaking of these things and my association with people like Jack and this situation. And the exact quoted words were, "Be careful." So yeah, my personal belief is that there's something going on in the East Coast, and not just in the East Coast. We have evidence that these drone incursions have occurred and happened in military bases around the world. And just to give you some context here, I was a helicopter mechanic for Cobras and Hueys in the military, in the Marine Corps. I understand, as a safer flight guy, so I had quality assurance certification, collateral duty inspector certification. I could technically put together and break apart a Cobra or Huey with my eyes closed by that point. But so there are many laws, and procedures within the military operational bases, and some of these bases have been shut down. So there's a lot of misinformation. There's things aren't adding up. Something's going on. So I think that there's a cover up of hybrid. So something that we can't perceive or know what it is, call it an HI maybe, I don't know, these orbs that Jack keeps talking about. But there's also something that's maybe a black project technologies that are also kind of trying to flood the scene to try to create confusion, right? So some of these videos you see like actual military craft that are black projects, and some of these are, whatever it is, and people can't, they can't figure out what it is. I mean, you have misinformation with real stuff mixed in, intertwined. So it's like a cover up. But I'll stop there.
I could jump in and say this. So I've been out of the game for a few years now. I'm retired technically. I have buddies though that are in Coast Guard everywhere basically, and what they were telling me was part of the East Coast drone thing. It was a 2-part thing, and then the Navy jumped in after. So there was like the madness. They were doing like a basic nuke search because the inauguration is coming up. That's grid search. They do that at the Super Bowl. They do it here in Vegas. They do it all the time. It's standard operating procedure. It's not even a secret. Okay. So they were doing that. There was a couple other things that went on. And then I heard I can't verify this. This is a friend of a friend. Here's complete hearsay. Yeah. But if it's a friend of mine, you could probably take it to the bank. The Navy is like, oh, everybody thinks there's a bunch of UFOs over the East Coast right now. We got this one thing we want to test. And I heard the Navy was testing stuff in that field during that time period because they're like, what are they going to know? TikTok's posting 747s landing and calling them UFO. You know what I mean? UFOs. We can kind of get away with whatever we want. And then it's no secret whether the SR-71A12 stories of the high-speed LA approach, right? Where they got kicked by ATC at 80,000 feet doing 2,500 miles an hour. And there's a ton of public stories. Our guys test stuff all the time, man, when they can get away with it. Yeah. And it's not a dangerous thing. They're just like, hey, they're looking here, they're doing this. Let's see if they see us. Let's see what people react to. And that's a reality.
Let me bring something up. You said it's not a dangerous thing. And let's clarify something. The facts are that these things are not just in the East Coast. They're operating around military bases within military airspace and are causing safety incidents to the point where they have to shut down the military runways. That is not, imagine if a foreign intelligence agency was in our own lands or foreign bases, something's going on and it's not ours. I'll tell you that much.
I think a lot of that is incursions on civilians. I think that's civilian-based incursions. Anything the DOD does that they're testing is not going to be a threat. They're not going to risk that. So I can't assure it because I'm not doing everything personally, but I can tell you as somebody that's run a lot, been around the block, if they're doing something, it will be completely innocuous. It'll be completely benign. So the ones that are incursions at airports and stuff, which I agree with you, they are happening, are either civilian based or bad actors.
Yeah.
Our DOD would never do that.
Right. Okay, good.
They're not ours.
No.
They're not ours.
Correct. And
also it's happening not just on New Jersey, it's happening all over the country and even in different countries. It's happening, it's worldwide.
This technology that you guys are talking about, is it able to go through solid matter as well?
I don't think so. Let's put it this way. Nothing I'm saying would allow that. I know some people say that. There's nothing in my physics that would allow it to go through solid matter.
Okay, well, I've just recorded some of these orbs moving through solid matter.
Oh, the orbs. Oh, the orbs. Oh, the orbs. Oh,
yeah.
The orbs are different. Yeah. No, I have. Yeah. No, I meant metal. I meant hard stuff. Yes, I do know about reports, classified reports that I believe of orbs going. Yeah, they're like plasma. They could go in. Yeah, but they melt. The answer is roughly speaking yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I will say this, and I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to say it anyways.
Okay.
For those that are listening, the main people, I'm not going to post the video again because I got in trouble. I've documented orbs personally, civilian, in the last couple of years. Yeah. And I had official entities contact me and told me to remove the video. Okay. And it disturbed me, not because of the video itself, because it was just cool. And it was like, wow, what am I filming? It disturbed me because they felt a need to tell me to remove it, which tells me it's not aliens. It tells me it's either our tech or something that wasn't good. And they told me to not post it. And I literally had to remove it.
Okay. Are you working? Are you working with Bledsoe?
I
That's
work
fine.
with nobody, my friend. I'm
No,
retired.
but do you know? But do you know Bledsoe? I mean, do you know about his stuff? This guy Bledsoe.
I know who that is, but I'm not affiliated. I've never
Oh,
met,
yeah. Okay.
spoken with, nothing. No.
Okay.
So like it's weird because all I want to do is be a skeptic and be like, none of this is real. None of
Yeah.
it. I worked for almost said it, Dave. Sorry. I worked for 12 years for this stuff, and I've seen all the cool stuff, and it's really cool. And you guys have no idea how cool it is. But also, I've seen things that are like way beyond it. And whenever I speak about the things that were outside of my work, which was already top secret, they get more worried about that than what I actually did at work.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm like, wait, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You get? So,
Well, it definitely seems to me, if you're able to travel through space-time, that you would be able to go through a solid object, right?
Well,
I mean,
as a PhD level physicist with 70 years experience, it doesn't seem that way to me.
I think what he's trying to convey, Jack, is that you move in time to where that solid object wasn't there, right?
that's part of it. That's part of it. If you're in space and you're traveling through space-time, and there's a little micro meteor or something like that, it's you're going to have to be able to move through it or move around it, or it's going to have to move around you, right?
All right. Well, I don't want to get into debate over this, but I don't think
Right.
so. But
Okay.
I would never debate you, Jack. I just want to
No.
be your friend and
Well,
get in the
yeah.
I heard
I
the
mean-
story about you pulling up the soul in the cool car. So
what is it? Being the what?
I heard you were the man in San Francisco.
The what? Yeah, right. And what? But what did you hear?
No, I was just joking around, but I would never debate you. I literally had a
did you see
an
that
interest in your
video?
takes.
Did you see the video Peaches? Is that what you're talking about? The
I've
video
seen
that
many things, but I also had firsthand accounts from other people.
You probably heard the stories of Jack and Richard Feynman's escapades and adventures.
Dude, yeah, I'm telling you guys right now, and for the audience listening, for the SOR audience on the radio and on YouTube, Jack Sarfati could be the Dos Equis guy. Like, he is the most interesting man in the world. This guy knows people, he knows movie makers, he knows science, and he literally has the keys to the future science of the world. So all respect to you, Jack.
Right, okay. No, I think he meant when I took Nikki. I took Nikki home with a girlfriend in the Jaguar.
Yeah, she told me about getting in the car.
The Jag.
Dude, I was like, and I was gonna go, and she's like, "You could have hung out with Sarfati, loser." And I was like, "Oh man."
Yeah, I was supposed to go too.
Come out to Vegas, Jack. I got drinks or whatever you're into.
Tequila.
I got you.
How does the ball move forward here in regards to, this all coming out? I mean, we hear that, the conspiracy theory government group that's going to expose everything, they're going to expose UAPs / UFOs eventually, and they're going to expose what the military industrial complex is hiding out. Juan, do you put any faith in that system of what could be uncovered?
Look, the military industrial complex is never going to release anything. It's going to come from either private industry, private sector, breaking, having some breakthrough technology in physics, right? And they can no longer hide whatever it is. Or an administration that we have now coming forward and actually releasing this documentation through force, right? Like they're doing now. They're dismantling all of the funding to different areas. And, I'm not going to get into the politics of the thing, but I think a lot of these budgets are cutting is probably to disable whatever you term the deep state, the need to know people that have the true control and power over whatever narratives we're headed into, right, as a government. And, Kennedy was assassinated. We still don't have those answers yet. There's a lot of things, right? And maybe a lot of things aren't very good and may give us a black eye for our own country, and may reveal a lot of things that that are very dark, right? But I don't think we are able to trust the military industrial complex. I mean, there's many people in history that have gone I think it was Eisenhower who even said it, right? There's many people who've warned us about the threats of giving the military-industrial complex this many powers, and we've even had. I mean, from time, I'll give you some references later. I'll have to do some research. But there's some former Medal of Honor recipients. I don't know if it was Smedley Butler or one of them who wrote a book called War's Racket, and he was talking about how the United States military-industrial complex.
Juan, hold that thought. Final break in Spaced Out Radio tonight. This impromptu panel continues right after this.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
Juan, you and your wife, if you have time, should join us in Vegas May 1st to 5th.
You got to roll through, man. Roll through.
We have a few trips to Vegas this year, so we can make it happen.
You should
May
come
1st
through.
and 5th, we're hanging out at the Orleans. Bunch of us.
Really? The Orleans? That's where you're going?
That's where Merle chose. Blame
Oh
Merle.
my God, bro. I'll bring guns.
We could go wherever. I don't care.
Orleans is hooker central, bro. I know you're off the air, so I can say it, but
That's Merle.
So, so Smedley Butler, I found the quote. He says he wrote a book, War is a Racket. He's a Medal of Honor recipient, and he was a very high. I think it was. I don't remember his rank. He's a very high-ranking official in the military government, and he talks about the sugar wars, right? That that the United States military-industrial complex used in to take over private industry, banking, and whatnot, and push the banking agenda of the United States globally. And one of his quotes is very, very personal quote to me, because this is kind of who I aligned with, like internally, right? He says, I might have given Al Capone a few hints. He says, the best he could do was operate his racket in 3 districts. I operated in 3 continents on behalf of the military-industrial complex. Those are my words, the final ones. So very, very profound statement from somebody with a Medal of Honor who was in charge. And he was protesting this all the time.
Weird.
It gives you an idea of how powerful the military-industrial complex is, right? It has been, and also the influence they've had over private industry.
That's one of the biggest things about, again, not to go fully political, but Trump is basically like, we don't need to be at war with Russia. We don't need to be at war with all these people. And that's one of the main reasons he hated behind the scenes in the military side is, well, wait, if we're cool with Russia and we're cool with XYZ, then where's all that $1 trillion of fear money going to go? Where are we going to put that money if we don't have an enemy number one to pad our pockets? That goes political, though. I won't say that when we're live, but you get what I'm saying.
Exactly.
I've seen it firsthand, my friend. I've watched guys dogfight Russian pilots and get out and drink vodka with them.
Yeah, of course.
For training purposes. Like, I've seen the craziest things. And the world is a stage.
Yeah.
It's a complete marketing ploy, whether you're in the military, government, and people die for that marketing sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like
they're
you're
dying in Ukraine.
Lost, right?
They're dying in Ukraine.
It's awful, man. Like,
and you know
anyway,
what?
Off my soapbox.
The U.S. weapons are not as good as the Russian weapons in general.
Well, intermediate, our technology is so much better. We've kind of given up on the short range game, so we let them win. I think that's my opinion, not fact.
Okay, well, I'm talking about the actual battle conditions in the Ukraine. Those battle conditions. They're chewing up the Abrams tanks.
We're not really
okay.
Our stuff, that, though.
Our stuff is too expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Not enough of it. Too expensive. The Abrams tank was too.
It's not a serious situation for us.
It's what?
We're not taking that situation serious. If we wanted to end it, we would end it one way or the other. Period.
Yeah.
we're not
Agreed.
taking it serious. It's an ongoing thing, and I'm not a fan of Zelensky. And that again, I don't want to go political on SOR. But,
Yeah, no, I'm
but
so
at the end of the day, the facts are, if the United States wanted that over, it would be over almost immediately. We don't want it over. We want a different resolution.
yeah.
Or else it would be different.
We got 1 minute, gents.
Okay. I think Biden's military was so woke and DEI that I don't think we could have beat the Russians.
Oh, they wanted to send them greeting cards and ask
All
them
right.
about their pronouns.
Let's
right.
get
Right.
UFO stuff here. Try and keep this as apolitical as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Random.
No, about military. Don't blame it on me. Jack's more political than me. You've seen his
Yeah.
posts.
No,
I'm
we were
just
just talking.
I'm
We were just talking
calm.
about.
I'm
we were
calm
just talking about
compared
the
to
mil-
Jack.
We were just talking about the mathematics of the weaponry.
Yes, absolutely.
Good.
Logistics, Dave. Logistics.
All right.
Logistic,
Hold on right there, guys. Thank you tonight to Chill Farm, Human Carl, Jeff, Joe, Random Gee ×2 at JSCO for the super chats. Greatly appreciate your love and support. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Even Lee's stuff looks good. Just going to say that. There we go. Here we go, everybody.
Hey, that's pretty cool. Whose place is that? Is that Random Guy?
Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. It's always great to turn your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet called Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube and every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Juan Feria, Jack Sarfati, Random Guy, Extra Small Lee Strauss, and myself continue with this impromptu roundtable of what's going on in the UFO world with the tech and the science behind it. Juan, I see you're much like me and Lee. We're just sitting back and enjoying the conversation between Jack and Random Guy here about all the fun toys that apparently are out flying in the sky.
Yeah, let me say something about the science. We have this thing called the Cavendish experiment. It's a very simple experiment that even they can do in high school. And if it works, it's proof of concept of how the flying saucers work. How to control gravity with small amounts of energy. Simple experiment. Cavendish first did it in 1798. That's the Cavendish Laboratory at Cambridge in England is named after him. And so it's by a simple modification of that experiment, we can test out the basic physics of what I'm talking about. So that's something that we're waiting to hopefully. Okay, but I posted details about it on X.com about a week ago. I forget, 2 weeks ago. In 24 hours, there were 19,000 views, 19,000 all over the world, which means that people are going to be doing it. So what I'm hoping is that there'll be a couple of hundred, or at least a couple of dozen, a couple of hundred independent groups doing the experiment, and we'll see what the answer is. If it comes out positive, then it's done. Pandora's box is open. It's out in the open. There it is.
So what's your take on psionics, Jack?
Oh yeah, sure.
You believe in that? You believe that's a real thing?
I know it's a real thing. I understand the physics of it. It doesn't violate it. And I worked with Project Stargate. I was with all those guys at SRI, remote.
But
viewing.
outside concept, you've seen it. You've seen it work. Yes or no?
I've seen some of it work, but as a concept, I know exactly how it works. Okay, because back in the CIA 50 years ago asked me to work on two problems, consciousness and UFOs. There's a paper by this guy Paavo Pilkin. He's a professor of cognitive science in Finland and Sweden. And 2 years ago, he published a review paper. It's called the brain as a quantum measuring device. And section 7 of that paper explains how all that stuff works according to, the Sarfati post-quantum physics. He explains it in a way that you can understand if you read the paper. You don't have to know the math. He does a good job, explaining it in a non-mathematical way. So the answer, yes, we understand how consciousness. Conscious AI. It's the same. It's the same physics as conscious AI. With that physics, you can also remote view. You can affect things at a distance. You know about slide 9, right, Louis Elizondo, slide 9. About
Sure.
The second. Okay. Well, it's that. That's
I
what we're talking.
record all that stuff.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So
yeah.
it's called Einstein-Podolsky-Rosen signaling. It's called signaling. It's controlled entanglement. Controlled entanglement. It's what Einstein called spooky telepathic action at a distance, but in a controllable way. See, the ordinary guys in most of the universities, they think it's there, but you cannot locally control it. It's like it's random noise. But the point is, you can control it.
It's quantum physics, right? Quantum physics doesn't just apply to technologies and UAPs and UFOs and all that stuff. It's just this
it's
reverse engineering nature, right? And controlling it and harnessing it. So it applies to biology because we don't even understand how biology works at a quantum level.
Yeah. No, the point is that the woo-woo, what you call the woo-woo stuff, is actually the command control communication system of the conscious artificial intelligence that is the craft. It's built into the craft is basically empty inside. The craft is about a thin fuselage of this artificial material, and in that artificial material you have both the mechanism for a conscious artificial intelligence and the gravity control mechanism. They're two sides. They're built in together. They're like two sides of the same coin, like that. Okay, and it's what Lenny Susskind calls ER equals EPR. The point is, we understand it. We have a consistent narrative. We understand what you call the woo-woo is part of it. They're two sides of the same coin. It's exactly when the CIA guys ask me, say, Jack, two things we want to know. How does consciousness work? The woo-woo, the paranormal. How does it work? And how the flying saucers fly. That's how do you control gravity. So they're both they go together like a hand in glove. Okay.
Would you be open to breaking the internet and me, Jake Barber, I don't care, Elizondo, bring somebody else, but me, and somebody that says they're an expert psionic going out somewhere and doing a public something we're going to 100% show the results of? Or do you think it wouldn't work because the motivation would be to show whether it works or not?
What are you talking about? Going out? You mean like doing
like me, someone like Jake Barber or that level that's saying they have that ability, saying they're in the psionics.
Well, I don't say I have the ability. I never said I had the ability. I just said.
Well, but you said you believe in it, correct?
No, I don't believe in it. I don't believe in anything. I don't believe. I have the mathematical theory. I have the theoretical physics that explains it.
But would you be willing to go with me if I could make it happen? This is hypothetical. I'm not going to hold you to it right this second. But would you be open to something that could change the world from a guy that actually knows things? Your academics are beyond reproach.
Yeah.
With some of these whistleblower claims, we all get in the same place at the same time and produce the results to the internet. Would you be willing to do that?
Well, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm talking about, I want to see if these guys can bring these craft in, and if we can document it with observers that are not believers.
Well, listen,
because a lot of them will be like, if you don't believe, they won't come.
Okay, wait a minute. I'm 85 years old. You got to understand,
right.
85 years old. Okay, I'm not physically going out anywhere into the, okay.
I'll drive you, Jack. I'll drive you.
No. Yeah, you understand. You know what it is to be 85 years old. Okay, so I'm not physically.
Part in the truck, all right? It's okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not going out into any physical place. Okay, if I could do it now, if I could be on Zoom and watch you guys go out and do it.
Okay. Would you observe the evidence though in real time?
Oh, of course. Of course.
Okay.
But the point is, there are plenty of guys you get to do. That's what Stephen Greer does, Bledsoe. And you know who did that? Dan Jones did it with Bledsoe, right? I mean,
But I want somebody that doesn't have a name. I have no name in this business. I want somebody that I know that knows what they're talking about to observe this stuff, that doesn't have a channel, a brand, nothing.
listen, just film it. I'll certainly watch it from my computer here. I'll watch it. I'll certainly participate.
All right.
I don't have to physically go out and
But you'll give an assessment at least, right?
Oh yeah, of course.
And what happens if they fail?
Well, then they fail.
But would you write it off as a singular attempt was a fail, or would you write it off that maybe it's not as easy as these other whistleblowers claim?
No, I don't know. I mean, you can't tell from one trial. This is a statistical thing.
Okay.
I mean, I know it works. I know it works from. Okay.
But you've never seen it, but you know it works.
Well, I know. I mean, I've spoken to Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff. These I've seen.
But you don't personally know it works.
Right, let him finish.
Well, I don't know what that means. I know it works. Any sign. Listen, as a physicist, we know that the Higgs particle was found at CERN. That doesn't but we can't go in and
sure
and go through all the data. That it took 1,000 physicists. You take it on faith. But
But you've read the data from that, correct?
All science is done. There's a large amount of faith. You have to trust the guys you're working with that they're not lying to you.
But what isn't one of the main principles of science that it needs to be able to be replicated in a different environment?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, that was yes when you can, but nobody's replicated the Higgs boson because it takes a $10 billion.
You need a collider.
You need the collider.
I get you on that.
But wait.
Let me jump in here because I kind of want to say something here.
Yeah,
about
to your
this
point,
because
the cabin. Are we taking a break?
no, I just want to jump in on the psionics conversation here.
Yeah.
As someone who has done it, I can tell you that you just can't go out for 20 minutes, half an hour, or an hour. You have to build up your energy, and I hate to use this word because I don't know how else to explain it. I'm not a scientist. It's like trust within that connection that you have.
Yes.
Once you have that consciousness connection, then anytime you want to see them, they show up.
Yeah. Well, Bledsoe.
You don't
is
know
this more like is this like the people that are psychic, right? Like if you don't want to invoke that spirit or that ability, if you have the mind that you're skeptical like myself, does that mean that I just have no chance of seeing it? Is that kind of what it amounts to?
Partially.
Partially,
I would
yeah.
say partially on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I see
That's
you
fair.
nodding your head. Let's let you speak.
You are the observer.
Yeah. But the point is, if you talk to Russell Targ and Hal Puthoff of these guys, and Dean Radin, there's a whole bunch of what's her name? Julia. There's this woman parapsychologist. She's pretty solid. Oh, you talk to Bernard Carr. There are solid people who have done all this stuff in a scientific, reproducible way. And let me just say one thing on your point about reproducibility. The Cavendish experiment that will test for UAP gravity control, that could be done, as I said, 19,000 views of it in 24 hours, and it's a relatively easy experiment. So in principle, that like crowdfunding, citizen scientists that go out and do the experiment and see what they come back with. It's definitely very reproducible, much better than the Higgs boson. We don't need a $10 billion.
Well, yeah, because there's only one. It's a one-on-one.
Yeah, but there are almost every physics laboratory. There must be 1,000 physics laboratories in colleges, universities, even high schools that can do the experiment. At least 1,000, maybe 10,000. In China, they probably have 10,000 that can do it.
I have one last question, and then I'll leave it open to Dave and the rest because I have the opportunity.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal this question.
Yeah.
You've done a lot. I've read a lot of your emails. I've watched your presentations.
Yeah.
I have great respect for you.
Yeah.
What is the one legacy you want to leave behind? You're 85 years old.
Yeah.
You're not going to live 50 more years. So, what is the legacy Jack Sarfati wants to leave?
The creation of conscious artificial intelligence and a working, we'll build our own flying saucer that flies. And I think we could do it in 4 years. We
I
can do it
hope
in 4 years. It would take probably at least $1 billion, or maybe.
Juan, get your stuff together. Let's do this.
Yeah.
I'll run recovery. Let's go.
Well, we've already initiated dates of priority on 3 patents for some of this stuff, right? So it's moving along, whether funding comes or not.
Look. It takes me getting into a room with Elon Musk. I could sell him on this in about 15 minutes. I'm pretty sure.
You think?
Especially what he knows now. Yeah, but another way, Musk is putting billions of dollars into his SpaceX chemical rockets. He wants to go to the stars. He wants to go to exoplanets. He's not going to get there in chemical rockets. So he has nothing to lose. He has nothing to lose to put in $1 billion or $2 billion into this gravity control.
If that's all you think your project is, that's actually chump change. I don't know why anybody would. There's many nations. Like, I would almost expect Dubai to do it as a tourist thing. If that's $1 billion, they throw $1 billion at fake snow.
Well, the thing is, I'm pretty sure the Russians are working on it secretly, and whether they're working with the Chinese, it is an arms race. And the thing is this: if we don't do it, Russia and China will do it.
Somebody will.
Yeah, I think they're working on it. I was invited to Moscow 2 years ago. I was invited.
That's why you became the Russian spy guy.
Yeah, but I didn't go. I didn't. No, but the Russians are.
But I remember when that happened.
The point is this. That it's going to be done. The question is, well, are we going to do it, or the Russians and the Chinese going to do it? The BRICS are going to do it. And right now, my bet is on the BRICS because I have people who are trying to stop me from meeting Trump. Okay, I have a friend who's a friend of Trump's who's been trying to arrange for me to go down to Mar-a-Lago, after things cool off for about a month or so. And then there are other people who are trying to sabotage that. So whoever's trying to sabatage that, they're the Russian asset. You understand what I'm saying? I accuse them,
or at least bad actors, right? Yeah.
Okay, because by preventing me from speaking to the President of the United States and Elon Musk about what we're talking about, by preventing me, they are allowing the Russians to forge ahead and get it done.
Well, I feel like you have the resume, you should be able to speak. Yeah. What? And if the president should be able to make his own determination if he wants to follow through with that. You definitely have the resume to listen to, for sure.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So this is right now. There are people trying to stop Jack Sarfati from speaking to President Trump. And those people, I accuse them publicly. I accuse them of working for Vladimir Putin and Xi. They're working for the enemy. They're the enemy. Okay?
Got you.
All right.
Dave, jump in. I know you got a question.
Jump in.
Yeah. Well, I would only go back to what we were talking about before, as far as the cameras and having a camera that, can shoot at 1,000 frames a second in infrared.
Yeah.
To be able to catch these things moving at whatever native speed that is that they're moving at, right? There's been a lot of interest with people, lately using a camera that shoots at even 128 frames a second to capture these things moving in the sky. And what I find when I get into when I look at this stuff is there's a lot of bugs out there that fly close to the camera lens, and they're picking up this and that and the other thing. Sometimes, however, there are things, off in the distance that are moving super fast, and they're catching them on film. So is it possible that they're able to capture these things at these lower speeds as well? Or does it need to be 1,000 frames a second?
No, I don't know. That's not. That's a good question, but I'm not an expert in photography like that. I'm not the guy to ask. But Courtney Brown, he teaches that stuff. There are people who know that stuff.
Yeah,
it's not my expertise.
Yeah,
good. It's good.
Yeah, obviously, a lot of people are capturing these things, using just their cell phone cameras and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And there's this guy, Avi Loeb, the guy from Harvard, right? He's got all this money, and I haven't seen anything interesting coming from Harvard, fight fiercely, Harvard, fight, fight, fight. I went to Cornell, so so, but I haven't seen anything. They got all this money and all this equipment, and they haven't shown anything. They showed a couple of stupid things from below the ocean. Doesn't mean anything.
Right. Yeah. So getting back to, the observer of the phenomena, right?
Yeah.
So if you go into an area, let's say it doesn't matter where it's at, and you are thinking negatively, like, well, I'm not going to see anything or whatever. If that's even playing in the back of your mind, are the chances less that they're going to see something, or is that not even mattered at all?
I don't know. That's beyond my. You're asking me things that are not my
forte.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
it's just I don't know everything. I know about everything.
Okay.
But there are
Fair
people
enough.
who do know. There are people who do know. That you should be asking Russell Targ and even Put Off and what the hell's the last? Juliet Moss. I forget her name. Mossbridge. Oh yeah, Julie. I think Julie Mossbridge. Mossbridge. So you should ask people, and you should ask Bernard Carr and a couple of others, Dean Radin, people like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
they've done the work.
All right.
Juan, I'm going to give the final word to you tonight, as we have about just under 2 minutes to go here.
Sure.
To kind of break things down with Texas Space and the goals that you guys have, because it involves so much in the science behind everything from the quantum physics to
Gravity.
everything that goes on with what we study here on this show with UFOs. Is there a balance coming, and is that balance of defining this technology within the next 4 years, like Jack says?
I think Jack is right. If with enough funding or the right partnerships, right, success is only a matter of time, pun intended. And right now we have enough people in the physics world interested. We have mathematicians, scientists from all over the world, and we're getting more interest to helping solve these problems. So behind the scenes, what you guys don't see and the world doesn't see, besides Jack's infamous email like of bickering and trolling and stuff like that, you see a lot of productive work being done in trying to solve for the physics of this stuff, right? And like I said earlier, these guys, they're not UFO guys, they're not NHI guys. They don't believe in any of this, so they just care about fundamental physics, and they stay away from this, from all the woo stuff and all that stuff. They just care about the physics, and they're trying to help Jack solve for his physics because they respect him as a physicist, right? So yes, I believe we can achieve this technology in our lifetime. Absolutely.
Excellent. I want to say a
4
big
years.
thank you, Juan
4 years.
and Jack Sarfati.
That's why I said
Brandon,
Carlo plan.
jumping on in as well. Say good night to everybody. Hello, Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Ball. Rocking in the background. His little brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Space Down Radio. Rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar, God itself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAT, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X. Hashtag SpaceDownRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Space Down Radio, SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friend,
Make a mistake. We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. Soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. There we go. There we go.
Well, what's happening? It's over, right? Is it over?
The radio side is over, but the YouTube side we could keep going if you want.
I don't know. I'm getting pretty tired. What do you guys want?
Doesn't matter to me.
I just
You
want
want
to
to questions from the audience, Jack? See if anybody has a question.
Yeah. What about random guy?
Random guy? Jack's interested.
Well, no, I was just saying thank you, Jack. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We'll meet in person someday. I'm confident of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But I will just say that at the end of the day, what I was trying to get was there. I've had people contact me. I will leave the names out because we're still on YouTube, just so you know. There's people watching. People that you have sent letters to the government saying that they're a problem, and they were playing off some of your research for warp technology and otherwise. And it was weird because they befriended me. They were like, hey, you're this guy, and they were legitimate American people, and they're like, hey, I got this concept. I want to start a DoD contractor company, whatever, and we're going to do XYZ. And then they sent me some of the slides for some of their stuff. And next thing I know, I'm on a Zoom call with Kirkpatrick. And I'm like, there was people. This was a real thing. And this person, well, when we meet in person, I'll tell you exactly who, and you know, was fending off some of your ideas and some of the concepts from other people in the community and saying like, hey, Kirkpatrick, get us in with, the White House, get us in with something, trying to get a contract more or less, but using some of your research, some of your ideas. And I was like, wait a second, I got that. I have that slide from Sarfati's stuff. And he had no answer. And then he ghosted me when I confronted him about it. And this guy had gotten all the way through working with FBI, the Secret Service, and Sean Kirkpatrick, sorry.
Yeah.
Kirkpatrick's like in sync, but you get what I mean.
Yes.
And it was weird, dude, because he was getting the audiences. And that's what taught me, because again, I'm not a ufology person. I'm not anything. I happen to know some of these people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, bro, there's a lot of scams going on around here. But when I watch your stuff, I'm like, you had a way of explaining things to where a basic guy like me can understand them. And I really appreciate that. So I have high respect for you. And then Juan, with the Texas space thing, heard good things about you guys. And it was funny because two different people that don't even know each other were like, hey, Texas Space wants to build the Sarfati thing. You should go pitch them on being their recovery guy. Because that's kind of my background. But it was it was a funny story.
I'll tell you some things. The patents that we've initiated aren't with Jack's technology. That's going to be done in the near future. Mm-hmm. It's other stuff. And it's basically, interstellar stuff, generating a gravitational wave. And Jack, if you want to talk about the physics, you can, because we've already initiated the patent. So there's nothing that can undo that, right? We're covered.
As long as you own it. Right? Yeah, you're good then.
Yeah, so
approach this as a pitch deck.
All right. Are you can you switch off the recording for a second, or because I want to mention a name? See.
Well, you know what? What we'll do is we're going to call it the night here. You guys stick around for a couple seconds.
Yeah,
we'll call it the night because there's certain things we can't put on the air.
Yeah,
but don't forget, everybody, we have Sweet Robbie G here on the weekend for after hours, Saturday and Sunday, starting at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern. Thank you tonight to Joe, Random Gee, JSCO, Random Gee, Jeff, Human Carl, and Chill Farm. And you know what? We're going to get continue this conversation again. We're going to get Juan and Jack back on for sure, because there's way too much to go over. I'll just try and see if I can wiggle down a date with them. Just stay tuned, everybody, that's sitting in here. And for the rest of you, we're going to call it the weekend, because some of us got to get up for work in the morning too. So have a good night, everybody, and we'll talk soon.
healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.